Look at the baby in the picture. He suddenly opens his big, beautiful eyes. From his wise gaze, you can tell he is a reincarnator. His previous life was very bleak. After marriage, his rebellion failed, and the emperor had his entire family executed. While on the run, he was murdered by his treacherous husband and a maid. At this thought, veins bulged on Mi Yochu's tender face. In this life, he will protect his family well and absolutely not repeat the same mistakes. So, through day after day of self-discipline, Mi Yochu finally sculpted the most perfect physique. Looking at Mi Yochu's powerful, bodybuilding-like figure, his sister-in-law and father both showed expressions of disbelief. As a young lady from a noble family, being so strong and powerful was clearly not in keeping with her status. Finally, through his relentless efforts, Mi Yochu was able to control his muscles at will. At this, his family was moved to tears. Seeing their daughter regain her stunning beauty, the great General Zhuge suddenly gave a wicked smile. Little Chu, at the young lord of Prince Ding's mansion's recovery party today, you must charm 7 or 8 men for your father. Speaking of the young lord's recovery party, in the previous life, His Highness the young lord of Prince Ding's mansion lost his memory and fell into a coma. Not long after the unlucky young lord woke up, he had a conflict with Mi Yochu's younger brother, who had come to visit. After that, their relationship broke down, and they would even get upset just hearing each other's names. Because our family was in the wrong, Dad decided to send me to the young lord's recovery party to bring a young lord back as his wife. Mi Yochu muttered the young lord's name. Suddenly, the corners of his mouth turned up slightly. If Dad knew that in the future, this young lord's family would cause the general's mansion to have its entire family executed, would he still let me go to the young lord's side? But this is good too. Mi Yochu immediately decided to take this opportunity to completely nip this ill-fated relationship in the bud. The next day, in front of Prince Ding's mansion, Mi Yochu, with a look of despair, was squeezed in the middle of the crowd. Did this unlucky young lord invite every single young lady from the entire capital? In the previous life, this young lord was known as the shame of the capital. However, with his handsome face, he still captured the hearts of many young ladies. But after this young lord lost his memory, he became humble and eager to learn, becoming the glory of the capital that everyone praised. Thinking of this, Mi Yochu sighed and rested his forehead in his hand. If it weren't for this, he wouldn't have fallen for this guy in his past life. But the strange thing is, after his rebirth, he couldn't remember that guy's face no matter how hard he tried. The shouts of the girls around him suddenly brought Mi Yochu back to his senses. The main gate of the mansion slowly opened, and that man finally appeared before everyone. Looking at the wicked smile, the seductive posture, and the fiery entrance, this is the legendary glory of the capital. The young lord of Prince Ding's mansion, Su Buxiao. This flamboyant entrance left all the young ladies present dumbfounded. Mi Yochu only felt his scalp tingle. The one he fell for in his past life was definitely not this thing. Suddenly, Mi Yochu felt a wave of dizziness. Su Buxiao, who was nearby, noticed instantly. Just as Mi Yochu was about to fall, he reached out and pulled Mi Yochu into his arms. Mi Yochu's eyes instantly showed killing intent. "Miss, are you blind? Otherwise, how could you just barge into my heart like that?" The young lord's words instantly caused the young ladies present to erupt. Su Buxiao made no attempt to hide it and walked right up to chat with the young ladies in front of him. The young ladies exclaimed that they wanted to see the new kitten the young lord's family had. On the other side, meeting His Highness the young lord again, Mi Yochu couldn't help but feel a little dazed. He felt that the Su Buxiao of this life was different from the one in his past life. This bastard has become even greasier, disgusting and foul. At this moment, Mi Yochu just wanted to find a place to wash his face. A moment later, a piercing scream came from within Prince Ding's mansion. A fierce lion stared viciously at everyone present. Su Buxiao, standing to the side, pretended to be mysterious. Everyone, no need to panic. This is a new type of glass developed by the Prince Ding's mansion team. Even a lion can't scratch it. For just $998, you can take this special glass home. With this glass, even the biggest cat can be contained. But just as Su Buxiao was vigorously promoting it, a lion's paw went through the glass, directly slapping Su Buxiao senseless. The scene changes. An elephant, through a heart-shaped glass, dangles His Highness the young lord in the air. Mi Yochu looked at the idiot before him and couldn't help but sigh softly. Now he was completely sure. In his past life, he could never have possibly fallen for this piece of trash. It must be said, this young lord is quite fated. After being ravaged by a lion and an elephant, he was still able to continue promoting his ultra-transparent organic glass, completely unscathed. This time, what was to be exhibited was a super-duper cute red bean python. Su Buxiao was extremely confident in the new glass he developed. But the next moment, he fell right through the glass and into the exhibition area. It turned out that the reason this piece of glass was so clean was because the mansion's servants hadn't had time to install it yet. At this moment, the mansion's servants were in a panic. After all, in this pit, there was a 1,000-year-old giant python and other ferocious beasts. Mi Yuchu sighed silently at this. The maid beside him looked terrified. If the young lord falls from this height, won't he be turned into a pulp? Mi Yuchu didn't care at all. In his past life, when Su Buxiao fell into the water, Mi Yuchu had risked his life to save him and bring him ashore. But after Su Buxiao woke up, he thought it was the maid Dupi who had saved his life. No wonder the two of them later developed feelings for each other. Who cares? Anyway, this time, he wouldn't save him even if it killed him. Just at this moment, an angry shout came from behind Mi Yuchu. Princess Xiang of Prince Lan's mansion heard Mi Yuchu dare to curse the young lord and slapped him on the shoulder, wanting Mi Yuchu to go down and be buried with the young lord. However, the next moment, she froze in place. The seemingly frail Mi Yuchu didn't move an inch. This made Princess Xiang even more furious. She pushed Mi Yuchu with all her might, but ended up lunging at empty air. Seeing Princess Xiang about to fall into the beast pit, Mi Yuchu habitually pulled her to his side, but he himself carelessly slipped and fell over the edge. Terrified screams came from the shore, but they weren't concerned about Mi Yuchu at all. Instead, they rushed to rescue Princess Xiang. Meanwhile, His Highness the Young Lord had already become a tasty meal in the red bean python's belly. However, Su Buxiao's corny pickup lines were too greasy. The giant red bean python spat out a wad of old phlegm, sending Su Buxiao flying. Having lost its appetite, the red bean python was about to leave, but Su Buxiao grabbed its tail. At this point, Su Buxiao seemed to have hit his head. He grabbed the giant python and started getting close. It turned out he had deliberately fallen into the beast pit. The system had told him that his beloved would come to save him. So, before meeting his beloved, the poor giant python had to continue performing a life and death show with Su Buxiao. Suddenly, a gust of wind caught Su Buxiao's attention. High in the air, a huge King Kong Barbie holding a vine, like Tarzan, glided down from above. This scene scared Su Buxiao and the giant python so much they practically exploded on the spot. Is this the legendary beloved? If one day they were flirting and fighting, wouldn't he be beaten to death with one punch? And the next moment, a jade-like foot appeared out of nowhere, kicking the young lord's face so hard it caved in. Mi Yuchu's expression didn't change. His muscular body gradually returned to normal. Wait, it seems I kicked something just now. The scene changes. The young lord has now been pulled ashore. The young ladies beside him, looking at the long unconscious Su Buxiao, wanted to rush up and give him artificial respiration. But since they couldn't find his mouth, they had to give up. Just then, Su Buxiao woke up. He blew hard, and his caved-in features miraculously returned to their original state. Hearing that someone wanted to give him artificial respiration, Su Buxiao decided it was best to play dead for now. He also took the opportunity to recall what had happened before this. It turned out that Su Buxiao was a transmigrator. 2 months ago, he came to Prince Ding's mansion and transmigrated into the body of this young lord. He couldn't quite remember his previous identity, only that he came from the modern world. Just as he had woken up, a man rushed into the room. Then this man did some indescribable things to him. Unable to bear the humiliation, Su Buxiao went to fight the man, but ended up being completely overpowered and knocked unconscious again. When he woke up the second time, he unexpectedly awakened the legendary system. The system told him that if he wanted to return to the real world, he had to win over the female lead of this world, reach a favorability of 100, and complete the female lead's main quest. The system even prepared a script for Su Buxiao to win over the female lead. But what was troubling was that the current favorability of the female lead towards Su Buxiao was actually minus 1,000. What kind of crappy system is this? It's like the female lead has hated him since she was in the womb. Su Buxiao learned from the system that a month later, Prince Ding's mansion would hold a recovery banquet for him. At that time, all the noble young ladies would attend. According to the script, Su Buxiao decided to deliberately create a dangerous situation to have the female lead come and be the hero who saves the damsel. But why is this script so strange? As the male lead, shouldn't he be the one saving the damsel in distress? Although he was puzzled, Su Buxiao's body was very honest. According to the plan, he very smoothly designed a dangerous situation. He successfully waited for the female lead's rescue and very smoothly took a flying kick from the female lead. Thinking of this, Su Buxiao's body couldn't help but tremble. The crowd of onlookers became more and more restless. This made Su Buxiao, who was still waiting for artificial respiration, a little impatient. Just at this moment, the maid Dupi stood up. The young lady's status is inconvenient. As a maid, she has a responsibility to protect the young lady's innocence. Even if she is blamed by the young lord, she will not hesitate. Dupi's action instantly caused all the young ladies present to explode. Everyone present was holding back due to their reputation. They didn't expect this scheming maid to actually rush up. At this, Su Buxiao didn't move a muscle. Although he had to win over the female lead, before that, taking a little advantage shouldn't be a big problem. Dupi leaned down to kiss Su Buxiao. As Dupi got closer to Su Buxiao, he could feel her delicate breath brushing against his cheek. Suddenly, a hand blocked the space between Su Buxiao's and Dupi's faces. Mi Youchu's expression was grave. This kind of first aid method would only cause more harm to the injured person. Coincidentally, Mi Youchu had learned the corresponding first aid method from an envoy of the Southern Kingdom, so he decided to do it himself. At this, Su Buxiao became even more excited. However, why does this girl's voice sound a bit familiar? The next moment, the first aid began. Mi Youchu flexed all his muscles and pressed down hard on Su Buxiao's chest. At that moment, Su Buxiao spat out 100,000 tons of fresh blood. He finally realized that this voice belonged to the beloved who had heroically saved him in the beast pit. This scene terrified everyone present. This was simply a medical miracle. With just the first move, the young lord had already woken up. At this moment, Su Buxiao had almost lost half his life. He secretly swore that he would definitely capture this person. But the next moment, Mi Youchu, who had saved the young lord from danger, had disappeared. Su Buxiao gave a wicked smile. Did you think that by hiding in the crowd, this young lord wouldn't be able to find you? Excuse me, where's the benefactor who just saved me? This young lord wants to reward him handsomely. Hearing this, the crowd fell silent. When Mi Youchu left, he had specifically instructed them not to reveal the truth that he had saved the young lord. Although anyone could claim this good deed, who among those present would dare to claim such a good deed? Even Princess Xiangxiang, who was accidentally slapped, was still unconscious. Looking at the silent crowd, Su Buxiao felt a little awkward. But this couldn't stump his intelligent mind. But no matter how he thought, his mind was filled with the unforgettable image of strong muscles. Su Buxiao suddenly spat out a mouthful of old blood. But this couldn't stop him. In the beast pit, he had picked up the boot that Mi Youchu had lost. In that case, I'll have to trouble everyone present to try it on one by one. Whoever can wear it is naturally Su Buxiao's benefactor. The scene erupted into a frenzy. The people present swarmed forward. Someone even started binding their feet on the spot. In order to gain the young lord's favor, someone even applied glue to their feet. In the next moment, Mi Youchu's abyssal giant leg made Su Buxiao jolt. This person's leg is too suspicious. Such beautiful muscle lines. This woman is definitely his benefactor. If it weren't for the mission, he would never pursue this person. After he wins over the female lead, this young master will definitely dump him. Just then, the system notification sounded. Current female lead favorability minus 998. This female lead is really interesting. His gaze is so fierce, yet her favorability actually increased by 2 points. On the other side, Mi Youchu felt immense pleasure watching Su Buxiao's frustrated expression. Could this be the thrill of revenge? But the next moment, Mi Youchu gradually regained his composure. Young lord, I think you have the wrong person. Mi Youchu immediately tried to slip away, but he was grabbed by Su Buxiao. This young master is absolutely not mistaken. Even if I am, I've decided it's you. My benefactor, don't even think about running away. Su Buxiao paused slightly. Looking closely, this girl is actually very cute in her normal state. In that case, it shouldn't be hard to win her over. But just as Su Buxiao was about to offer himself in marriage, due to his severe injuries and broken ribs, a mouthful of old blood suddenly gushed out. Mi Yuchu punched him in the face. The next moment, the just-awakened young lord passed out again. Prince Ding's mansion. The battered Su Buxiao checked the system panel. Although he almost lost his life, he was indeed saved by his beloved in the end. But what happened to love at first sight? This woman's eyes clearly wanted to kill him. And why did the beloved's favorability drop back to -1,000? The system explained that what it gave Su Buxiao was only the 1.0 version of the script, and there might be some discrepancies with reality. From now on, Su Buxiao would have to rely on himself to adapt to the situation. Beside him, Mi Yuchu frowned slightly. In his memory, around this time, a princess who was super infatuated with the young lord would come to visit Su Buxiao. And this young lord, in order to fend off this unwanted attention, would push him forward as a shield. As a result, Mi Yuchu was framed by the princess, and to prove his innocence, Mi Yuchu almost committed suicide by hitting his head against a wall. Although he didn't die, he could only blame himself for being so naive in his past life, so stupid that he wanted to slap himself. In the next moment, this princess indeed arrived at the mansion. Mi Yuchu immediately wanted to slip away, but he suddenly remembered that he came this time to apologize for his brother. Mi Yuchu lifted his chin. Although he was apologizing, his sarcastic tone revealed his dissatisfaction with Su Buxiao from the inside out. Apology delivered, and seeing that the young lord was safe, Mi Yuchu immediately decided to slip away. Su Buxiao, standing to the side, looked dazed. Safe my foot. Look what's happened to my face. Suddenly, a cute girl rushed into the room. Before she could excitedly hug Su Buxiao, the scene before made the girl completely break down. Even after an explanation, Princess Hongxiu refused to believe Mi Yuchu's truth. Mi Yuchu decided that when he was framed later, it would be best to just admit it and leave quickly. Su Buxiao, through the system, also saw the plot where Mi Yuchu was framed by the princess. He certainly wouldn't miss such an opportunity to rack up the female lead's favorability. As he spoke, the princess took out a jade pendant. From her expression, it was clear that this little princess was up to no good. It turned out that just a moment ago, she had already planted the jade pendant on Mi Yuchu. But it must be said, this princess's acting was truly terrible. Su Buxiao seized the opportunity and suddenly shouted at the princess, "Miss Mi is so kind and innocent. How could she possibly do something like stealing a jade pendant?" Hearing this, Mi Yuchu thought to himself, what evil plan is this guy cooking up now? I absolutely can't let him succeed. He's right. I stole this jade. Let's go to the authorities now. I'll confess immediately. Mi Yuchu's words were shocking. Princess Hongxiu, standing to the side, was instantly dumbfounded. Seeing this, Su Buxiao's arms stretched out 999 meters, trying to stop Mi Yuchu from going to the authorities. Don't worry, Miss Mi. The princess has no evidence. I'll find a way to save you. Don't act rashly. Mi Yuchu was stunned by Su Buxiao's words. The next moment, Mi Yuchu directly threw out the evidence. At this moment, Su Buxiao couldn't smile at all. What's wrong with this tigress? He was trying to help her, so why was she working against him at every turn? At this, Princess Hongxiu couldn't help but question her life. Now that he was caught red-handed, Mi Yuchu couldn't wait to get out of this place. Su Buxiao was speechless. But did you think this could stump him? The legendary 05-8 fingerprint kit. Just brush the jade pendant with magnetic powder. Then cover the fingerprint with cooled fish glue and peel it off. You can easily get the criminal's fingerprint. There is only one truth. The real culprit is the princess, a mere little girl, trying to compete with the brilliant young lord. Wishful thinking. Su Buxiao grabbed Mi Yuchu's wrist. Now he could finally prove that Mi Yuchu was framed. His favorability would surely skyrocket. Mi Yuchu paused slightly. Did you think that Mi Yuchu would develop feelings for Su Buxiao because of this? Then you've underestimated Mi Yuchu's way of thinking. No matter what, he had to teach this bastard young lord a lesson. He suddenly shook off Su Buxiao's hand. As the daughter of the great General Zhuge, to be framed like this, he could no longer live with such humiliation. He could only prove his innocence with death. Su Buxiao fell into deep thought. He had clearly resolved the misunderstanding. So why did the plot return to proving innocence? Before he could finish his thought, the unlucky young lord once again spat out a mouthful of blood. Mi Yuchu headbutt Su Buxiao's body, slamming him hard against the wall. Your Highness, the esteemed young lord, were you afraid I would damage your wall? So you stood in front of me. I never thought you were such a stingy person. Su Buxiao instantly broke down. This woman was definitely targeting him. The next moment, Mi Yuchu smashed the wall to pieces with one palm. I saw through your little tricks long ago. You want me to be led by the nose. In your dreams. Su Buxiao was dumbfounded by these words. After giving her warning, Mi Yuchu turned and left. But halfway there, Mi Yuchu paused. Avoid today's misunderstanding from happening again. I'll have to trouble the young lord to stay far away from me in the future. Mi Yuchu's warning made everyone present tremble. At this moment, Su Buxiao completely collapsed. What kind of 1.0 script did this damn system give him? This is clearly a pirated script. As he spoke, Su Buxiao foamed at the mouth and slid down the wall to the ground. Ding! Female, lead favorability +1. Zhuwa General's Mansion. A beautiful woman with a seductive figure appeared out of thin air. She claimed to be a doctor who was here to treat the eldest Miss Mi's chronic migraine. From her beautiful jawline, it was clear that this doctor must be a tall and stunning beauty. But suddenly, the style changed. My goodness, isn't this stunning beauty His Highness the young lord? It turned out that half an hour ago, Su Buxiao, who was pinned against the wall by Mi Yuchu, couldn't bear the humiliation. He happened to hear that the general's daughter had a sudden illness, and even the imperial physicians in the palace couldn't diagnose it. This made the clever Su Buxiao start scheming again. However, there was a strange requirement to treat the young lady's illness. The one treating the general's daughter had to be a female physician. Looking at the cross-dressing mission issued by the system, Su Buxiao was speechless. This strong and resolute tomboy actually gets headaches? This is simply a godsend. He had suffered such great humiliation at Mi Yuchu's hands before. This time, he had to get his revenge. If Mi Yuchu saw that the female physician treating him was actually a man, and even more beautiful than himself, he would surely be devastated. Just as Su Buxiao was plotting his grand scheme, the maid Dupi suddenly turned around. All the famous doctors in the capital were helpless against Mi Yuchu's headache. Therefore, for this treatment, the general's mansion hoped to recruit a female doctor to conduct a close examination of the young lady. Just then, a figure flew out of the room with a whoosh. It turned out that during this time, some shameless perverts have been trying to take advantage of Mi Yuchu by dressing up as women. How could the sharp-eyed Miss Mi not see through such a low-level trick? Seeing this, Su Buxiao instantly broke out in a cold sweat. Isn't this guy supposed to have a severe headache? How does he still have so much strength? Although his makeup skills were perfect, if he was really discovered, the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, Su Buxiao hurriedly asked his system daddy for help. But the stingy system said that the host only had one request for help. If it helped Su Buxiao now, he would lose the qualification to receive help in the future. Hearing this, Su Buxiao instantly broke down. If the system didn't help in a life or death situation, he would really be dead. So, with a wave of its hand, the system created a cloud of smoke, and Su Buxiao was directly turned into a real sister. It's just that this sister was a bit too burly. Su Buxiao grabbed the system and said that this appearance would definitely get him killed with one punch. The next moment, the system acted again. Su Buxiao transformed and actually became a stunningly beautiful female physician. Although the gender problem was solved, his current ample bosom made Su Buxiao feel very uncomfortable. Su Buxiao immediately requested the system to reduce his bosom by half. But unexpectedly, the system really did reduce it by half for him. The maid Dupi, who was standing by, witnessed this, her pupils shaking. In the boudoir, Mi Yuchu was bedridden, tormented by a headache. Just then, a jade-like hand rested on Mi Yuchu's pulse. Su Buxiao, by the bed, quickly asked about the condition. It turned out that ever since Mi Yuchu could remember, he would get a headache every few years. But since 2 months ago, the headaches had suddenly become frequent. At this moment, Su Buxiao was pretending to be very professional on the surface. But in reality, he couldn't understand Mi Yochu's pulse at all. However, since the headache was the root of Mi Yochu's illness, directly removing the head would solve the problem at its root. Su Buxiao instantly fell into despair. He couldn't win in a fight, and he didn't know medicine. What should he do? Just then, the system suddenly spoke, "Are you stupid?" As the protagonist, with your special protagonist halo, you can use sincerity to move her. Lift your hand and touch the female lead, and you can easily alleviate her symptoms. Hearing this, Su Buxiao had a sudden realization. Repay evil with good, sincerity for sincerity. The next moment, Su Buxiao waved his hand and directly stuck his fingers into Mi Yochu's nostrils. Anyway, as long as he touched the female lead, he could cure her illness. Sincerity is not as satisfying as revenge. The maid saw this and quickly tried to stop him. A moment later, Mi Yochu, who had been sleeping soundly, his symptoms indeed improved. The pained expression on his face gradually disappeared. Dupi was astonished. This was simply a medical miracle, and Su Buxiao was also pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect this method to actually be effective. Just then, the sleeping Mi Yochu suddenly raised his hand. Su Buxiao was stunned. Mi Yochu opened his eyes and looked at Su Buxiao by the bed. Suddenly, his pupils constricted. With a heavy punch, he sent Su Buxiao spinning 7,800 degrees on the spot. The next moment, Su Buxiao was pinned to the bed by Mi Yochu, a dagger held right at his throat. "Your Highness, the esteemed young lord, why are you here?" Seeing that the young lady was about to strike, the maid Dupi quickly explained, "Miss, you've mistaken him. This is the doctor who came to treat you, not the young lord. And this doctor is a woman." Hearing this, Mi Yochu stared at the young lord in front of him. From the appearance, this doctor was indeed a woman, and with such an ample bosom, she was definitely the real deal. Wait, why does this bosom look a bit off? The next moment, the suspicious Mi Yochu directly opened the box to inspect the goods. Although it was only half, it seemed to be real. It seems that the doctor in front of him just looks similar to Su Buxiao, and he doesn't have a tear mole at the corner of his eye. It's just that for some reason, he always wants to beat him up. Seeing that his identity was not exposed, Su Buxiao's eyes gleamed. "Little one, shocked by my beauty, aren't you?" Just as Su Buxiao was feeling smug, a spiked club suddenly fell from the sky. Mi Yochu fell into deep thought. He really didn't hit anything strange. "I was so rude just now. I'm in a lot of weirdos, so I'm a bit suspicious. Please bear with me, sister. I hope the doctor can leave a contact method. I'll need to trouble you again when my headache acts up in the future." After this ordeal, Su Buxiao completely collapsed. This crazy woman is so violent and rude. What kind of grudge does she have against me? How am I supposed to win her over like this? Although he took the opportunity to poke her nostrils for revenge, the more he thought about it, the angrier he got. To distract himself, Su Buxiao started reading the local gossip weekly. Looking at the bizarre content in the weekly, Su Buxiao directly spat out the tea he had just drunk. What is this ridiculous content? He thought that he, as a transmigrator, was extremely flamboyant. He didn't expect that the original young lord was an even greater master. Just then, Su Buxiao's gaze shifted. A report about Mi Yochu abusing the elderly instantly caught his attention. Not only that, Mi Yochu also dared to chase away the children who were kindly feeding stray cats. Is this a moral decay or a loss of humanity? Originally, Su Buxiao didn't think Mi Yochu was so depraved, but recalling his previous experiences, this woman is far more morally corrupt than the report suggests. Now, just thinking about this woman makes him want to vomit. He can't win in a fight, and he can't win in an argument. At this moment, Su Buxiao just wanted to pack up and go home. Just then, Su Buxiao's body suddenly became as hot as a branding iron. System detects host sense of belonging is 0. Initiating counter-protection program. What the hell is this? At this moment, Su Buxiao's whole body was burning, and he even felt his body shrinking. Is he going to become a cute little kid like a certain famous detective? For a time, the entire mansion was in an uproar. His Highness the young lord had disappeared. On the other side, Mi Yochu had caught his dear brother, Mi Yuqian, and was questioning him about what indescribable things had happened between him and Su Buxiao at Prince Ding's mansion 2 months ago. He was clearly just visiting a patient, but why did they suddenly start fighting halfway through? There were even rumors that something strange had happened. Hearing this, Mi Yuqian quickly explained, "Sis, don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, people will think that something unspeakable really happened between me and Su Buxiao." The next moment, the cute brother showed a shy expression. This blushing look made it hard for others not to think of other things. Seeing this, Mi-Yu-Chu sighed. Originally, Mi-Yu-Chu had decided that as long as Su Buxiao didn't cause trouble in this life, he wouldn't interfere with the relationship between his brother and Su Buxiao. He didn't expect this unlucky young lord to become even more abnormal than in his past life. Therefore, Mi-Yu-Chu warned his brother to stay far away from this weirdo Su Buxiao. After all, their eldest brother had been missing for many years. He didn't want his younger brother to be assimilated into an idiot. Just then, a shout from a passerby on the street corner suddenly came. The bickering siblings were also attracted by the shout. It turned out that a few naughty kids were randomly feeding stray cats on the street corner. The moment they saw Mi-Yu-Chu, they immediately turned and ran. Seeing this, Mi-Yu-Chu looked at his brother. Bullying little kids is not good. When did you become such a female devil, you brat? Hearing this, Mi-Yu-Chen jumped up in anger. Those kids were clearly talking about you. The next moment, Mi-Yu-Chen ran into the alley like a curious baby. But Mi-Yu-Chu was indifferent to this. It's not that he doesn't care about animals, but that those kids' motives for feeding the stray cats were impure. After this, they would go and hunt other small animals. He had already done his utmost by chasing those kids away. A moment later, Mi-Yu-Chen brought the poor little cats out of the alley. But strangely, in his hand, he was also holding a strange-looking, bizarre creature. Mi-Yu-Chu instantly became alert. For some reason, he had an incredibly familiar feeling about this nondescript creature. Little did he know that this strange thing was Su Buxiao after being punished by the counter system. Seeing this, Mi-Yu-Chu snatched Su Buxiao into his hands. This little thing is actually quite cute. It might be some kind of invasive species. Mi-Yu-Chu immediately decided to take Su Buxiao back to the mansion to study him properly. Watching the Mi siblings walk away, the system couldn't help but look puzzled. It turned out that this was all the system's deliberate arrangement. It just didn't know why the female lead had no reaction at all after seeing Su Buxiao. If this plan didn't succeed, Su Buxiao's fate would be tragic. On the other side, the poor young lord slowly opened his eyes. Seeing this pair of deadly siblings in front of him, Su Buxiao's hair stood on end. Especially after seeing Mi-Yu-Chen, Su Buxiao's stomach churned. He couldn't help but want to vomit uncontrollably. Mi-Yu-Chu stared at the ugly, cute young lord in his arms. This little guy is even cute when he vomits. On the other side, Mi-Yu-Chen was so scared by his sister's abnormal behavior that his art style changed. Su Buxiao was stunned. This female devil actually called him cute? Did he finally realize this young master's charm? As expected, even when this young lord's body is shrunk, he is still so charming. But speaking of which, why did he turn into this bird-like thing? After seeing his current appearance, Su Buxiao vomited even more violently. Is this the price for not taking the mission seriously? On the other side, Mi-Yu-Chu thought that Su Buxiao had eaten something bad from the random feeding by those kids. Looking at the incredibly gentle Mi-Yu-Chu in front of him, Su Buxiao not only thought he had vomited his brains out, but this crazy female devil actually had such a gentle side. Since he can't change back, he'll just stay by his side for a while. Forced by the circumstances, Su Buxiao could only follow the Mi siblings around. Seeing the scene in front of him, Su Buxiao was slightly stunned. Isn't this the place where the gossip weekly said Mi-Yu-Chu abused the elderly? Before he could finish his thought, two agile figures descended from the sky, rushing towards the three of them. Monsters! There's an enemy attack. Seeing this, Mi-Yu-Chu was not flustered. He threw Su Buxiao into Mi-Yu-Chen's arms. Mi-Yu-Chu cracked his knuckles, and the next second, he was in a chaotic fight with the attacking figures. Seeing this, Su Buxiao sighed inwardly. This woman is too fierce. Why is such a woman his target to win over? Mi-Yu-Chen, on the side, picked up Su Buxiao. Looking at the little guy's expression, he must have been shocked by his sister's aura. Don't worry, my sister is just giving them a massage. This is called massage? This Annie is clearly lying there like a corpse. But the next moment, the Annie who had just fallen to the ground miraculously stood up. After the massage, the Annie was as light as a swallow and ran towards Mi-Yu-Chu. But Mi-Yu-Chu said that was enough for today. If they continue to fight, these Annies would really break their bones. Don't be fooled by Mi-Yu-Chu's sharp tongue and strange actions. In fact, Miyochu's intentions are good. The reason he chased away those naughty kids who were feeding the stray cats was because they would mix poison and short needles in the food, causing the stray cats to die. But he was framed for bullying children. In his spare time, Miyuchu would also come over to help these lonely elderly people with their stiff muscles. But people outside thought that Miyuchu was beating up the elderly. Hearing this, Su Buxiao couldn't help but start to doubt himself. Maybe he really misunderstood him. Despite this, facing the rumors of these troublemakers, Miyuchu just smiled faintly. He firmly believed that rumors stop with the wise. Most importantly, it was still too early. He was planning to wait for the rumor mongers to gather in a group before taking them all out. Although Su Buxiao was ugly after his transformation, Miyuchu was particularly fond of him. And after experiencing all this, Su Buxiao also had an epiphany. It seems he really can't judge people by their appearance. In the distance, Miyuchu was focused on preparing something. It turned out that Miyuchu had prepared a big gift for Su Buxiao. Seeing this, Su Buxiao blushed shyly. This girl is really something. She even prepared a gift for him tonight. Just as Su Buxiao was lost in his own imagination, the system's voice came again to host's sense of belonging has increased. Will return to human form in 3 seconds. Hearing this, Su Buxiao was instantly stunned. If he transforms here, wouldn't he be killed by Miyuchu as a stalker? Thinking of this, Su Buxiao became even more curious. What kind of gift did this girl prepare for him? No matter what, the fact that Miyuchu was willing to prepare a gift for him might prove that he no longer held a grudge against him. As soon as he finished his thought, the big gift that Miyuchu had prepared for Su Buxiao appeared before everyone's eyes. It was actually a coffin. I prepared this burial gift for the young lord decades in advance. Su Buxiao should be very moved when he finds out, right? As he spoke, Miyuchu was about to seal the coffin. But the next moment, his eyes suddenly sharpened. A handsome man with a twitching face appeared out of nowhere, naked inside the coffin. Miyuchu's face was instantly covered in question marks. Oh no, the king of hell is coming to claim my life now. It must be said that the size of this coffin is quite fitting. Just as Su Buxiao was about to say a few words for himself, the next moment, Miyuchu showed him what it means to have superhuman strength. Hearing the loud noise from a distance, Miyuchen was instantly shocked. But when he ran over, Miyuchu was calmly leading him away. At this moment, Su Buxiao was already buried under the coffin. As they were leaving, Miyuchen suddenly remembered that strange creature. But little did he know that the strange creature was at this very moment, trembling frantically under the coffin. Miyuchu, I'll remember you. Deep in the wilderness, the Mi siblings were anxiously searching for something. It turned out that the strange, ugly, cute creature from last time had run away. Not knowing the creature's true identity was actually His Highness the Young Lord, Miyuchu had been feeling guilty. So he dragged his brother along to search for the little monster's whereabouts all over the city. But in this wilderness, you can't even see a bird. It's hard to say if that little guy would run here. But the next moment, a familiar figure made the Mi siblings freeze in place. But before they could even say hello, the unique physiological reaction between Su Buxiao and Miyuchen made them both vomit uncontrollably. Why is this guy here? It turned out that last night, Su Buxiao heard some explosive news from his father, the prince. His cheap old dad actually wanted him to marry Miyuchu with the goal of obtaining the Mi family's military power. They would then join forces to overthrow the current emperor. At this, Su Buxiao was filled with resistance. If you want to marry him, you marry him. I'm not marrying that crazy woman. Hearing this, the prince was unconcerned. As long as you don't mind calling me Miyuchu mother. It's not impossible for this old man to marry him. And the reason Su Buxiao appeared here today was because he didn't want this crazy woman, Miyuchu, to become his stepmother. But as soon as he finished speaking, a murderous aura suddenly came from deep within the forest. Su Buxiao was tripped by Miyuchu's outstretched leg and fell flat on his face. Just as he was about to demand an explanation, he turned around and saw a large tree that had been instantly chopped in half by a kick. Now, Su Buxiao didn't dare to complain a single word. Suddenly, applause came from the forest. 2 assassins appeared out of nowhere, praising Miyuchu's agile skills while recording his sharp performance just now. Realizing he had been assassinated, Su Buxiao trembled and opened his mouth to express his gratitude. But the next moment, Miyuchu's regretful expression made him freeze on the spot. Such a good opportunity to kill this bastard Su Buxiao. and I subconsciously saved him. Seeing that Su Buxiao and the others were completely ignoring them, the two assassins felt they had lost all face. That everyone here, so cold? You're underestimating me, Su Buxiao, the #1 illusionist in the capital city. The three of them were attracted by the assassin's voice, but the next moment, they froze in place like puppets. It turned out that the assassin had already cast an illusion on them. Those under the illusion would see the person they love in the illusion. At this moment, they were completely defenseless and would eventually be killed by their beloved. Thinking of this, the assassin couldn't help but wonder who the esteemed young lord's beloved was. But the next moment, the projection from the mirror made the assassin freeze on the spot. What is this ugly creature? His illusion had no effect at all. On the other side, Su Buxiao had once again turned into the ugly cute creature. He curiously poked the air, and the next second, his consciousness returned to his body. This guy actually broke his illusion so easily. Shocked, the assassin quickly checked on Mi Youchu's performance in the illusion. My goodness, what the hell is this King Kong Barbie? And what is this thing he likes? Isn't this the young lord's incarnation just now? Could it be that these two have some unspeakable affair? In the illusion, Su Buxiao trembled as he looked at Mi Youchu, who had returned to his full muscular form. The next moment, Mi Youchu's bear hug almost sent the Su Buxiao in the illusion to the afterlife. Seeing this scene, the assassin spat out a mouthful of old blood, directly hit by the backlash from the illusion he created. Excuse me, miss me, is the little cutie in your heart me? Su Buxiao was now smug. Mi Youchu, on the side, gradually became angry from embarrassment. Having been counter-killed by 2 consecutive illusions, the assassin's heart was also in a panic. In the illusion, Mi Youqian was face to face with the Su Buxiao conjured by the little ghost. Wait, why is Mi Youqian's conjured object the young lord? Could it be that everyone in the Mi family likes the young lord? The relationship between these three is too messy. Before the assassin could react, an indescribable sound suddenly came from the mirror. A moment later, a blissful-looking Mi Youqian gradually regained his senses. Needless to say, what happened next? You can guess with your toes how awkward the two people staring at each other felt. Everyone at the scene suddenly felt nauseous. Even the assassin couldn't help but vomit uncontrollably. Just then, the other assassin suddenly spoke. Their mission this time was to collect fresh blood and kill a few people along the way. As a recorder, he had even finished his painting. But this clumsy guy hadn't even completed his mission. In that case, he might as well do it himself, seeing that the assassin in front of him was just a weak painter. Su Buxiao suddenly felt a surge of courage. He confidently stood in front of Mi Youchu, his disdainful smile seemingly able to instantly kill this top assassin. But the next moment, a sharp hidden weapon pulled him back from his daydream. Blood slowly trickled down Su Buxiao's cheek. The next moment, Su Buxiao shamelessly hid behind Mi Youchu. The young lord's expression changed. The monocle this assassin wore and the pen blade used as a hidden weapon, he seemed to have seen them in the system's data files. This man in front of him looked weak, but in reality, he was the #1 assassin in the assassin organization, a Xiao. Sunday. This guy loves to paint, but is terrible at it, even using human blood as ink for his paintings. Hearing someone call out his name, Sun showed an excited expression, because in this world, everyone who has seen him is already dead. Mi Youchu's eyes sharpened. With his quick reaction, he directly grabbed the assassin's arm. He then landed a heavy punch on the #1 assassin's face. The poor assassin baby was sent flying 8,880 kilometers, breaking several thick tree trunks along the way. This guy actually took out Sun with one move. At this moment, the other assassin just wanted to die on the spot. Mi Youchu was now like a bloodthirsty beast. To save his own life, he directly took out a knife and held the onlooking young lord hostage. Seeing this, Mi Youchu was slightly stunned. The next moment, the screams of both Su Buxiao and the assassin echoed through the forest. The scene changes. A note appears in front of the assassin who survived the ordeal. This woman didn't kill him, but she left him in this state. This is a great humiliation. At this moment, Sun's hatred for Mi Youchu reached its peak. Thinking of the punch he took in the forest, a perverted smile appeared on Sun's face. On the other side, Mi Yu-chu, who was being cursed by the assassin, suddenly sneezed. Mi Yu-chien, on the side, quickly asked if his sister had caught a cold. But Su Buxiao, not afraid of death, said, "People with no brains don't catch colds." The next moment, the arrogant young lord was turned into a pulp on the spot. But Mi Yu-chien was worried. If they just let the two assassins go, will they face their revenge later? But Mi Yu-chu calmly said that as long as they blame everything on the young lord behind them, everything would be fine. Besides, those two weaklings were no match for him. Hearing this, Mi Yu-chien showed an adoring expression. This small matter was indeed not worth worrying about. Tomorrow is Dad's birthday banquet. It's more important to go back and prepare for the banquet. In the distance, hearing that the great General Zhuo was holding a birthday banquet tomorrow, the death-seeking young lord was preparing to go and cause trouble again. The next day, at the general's mansion, the great General Zhuo arrived early in the morning. There was still a long time before the banquet started, so he prepared a pitch-pot game for everyone to enjoy. It's just that the pot was a bit too far from the starting point. Getting it in was like shooting from a great distance. But in return, the winner would also receive a handsome reward. Hearing this, everyone present was very interested. At this time, the eldest and second sons of the old Yi Wang family stepped out of the crowd. It was said that the eldest young master of the Wang family had admired Miss Me for a long time. This time, he might be here for Miss Me. As he spoke, Wang Fu walked up to Mi Yu-chu and wanted to ask him for a small favor. But before he could finish, Su Buxiao appeared out of nowhere, snatched the hair ribbon from Wang Fu's hand, and was about to give him a handsome Mediterranean haircut. Seeing his handsome hairstyle ruined by a pair of scissors, Wang Fu's mentality instantly exploded. Just as he was about to rush up and fight for 800 rounds, he realized that the person who had come was Su Buxiao and Princess Hongxiao. Su Buxiao would naturally not miss such a fun event. Mi Yu-chu, on the side, nudged his father's shoulder. "Didn't you say we wouldn't invite the Su family?" Suddenly, Wang Fu called out Mi Yu-chu's name. It turned out that he wanted to ask Mi Yu-chu to blindfold him. Mi Yu-chu slowly tied the blindfold for Wang Fu, thinking to himself, "Is this man disabled? Why does he need my help even to tie a piece of cloth?" With a buff from a Mi family's young lady, Wang Fu was now full of confidence. Seeing that the beloved he was trying to win over was about to be snatched away, Su Buxiao, on the side, immediately launched his attack. Mi Yu-chu stared at the man in front of him, speechless. The next moment, the Mi family's young lady went full muscle, using the gentlest force to tie the blindfold around Su Buxiao's face. In the distance, arrows fell scattered on the ground. None of the challengers were able to win. At this time, only Su Buxiao and Wang Fu were left on the field. Su Buxiao immediately called out the system's name in his mind, but the system directly refused. The eldest young master of the Wang family, on the side, had already begun his challenge. The arrow in his hand flew into the sky with a whoosh. Although he had the bonus of interacting with the eldest Miss Me, this challenge seemed too difficult for him as a weakling. Now, only Su Buxiao was left on the field. Su Buxiao silently took off his blindfold. Confident, he announced on the spot that he was the only winner. The crowd of onlookers was instantly dumbfounded. At this, Su Buxiao gave a scientific explanation to everyone present. Until now, the pitch pot has been in a superposition of two states, in, not in. If I throw now, the probability of it going in is 50/50ths. So as long as I don't throw, I've already secured a 50% win rate. And the other contestants are a solid 0. Is he really a genius? The crowd was fooled by this argument. The great General Zhuo was extremely excited. He immediately asked Su Buxiao what wish he wanted to fulfill. And Su Buxiao had only one goal: to get military power for his cheap old dad, and to make it easier for him to complete the mission of winning over the female lead. The next moment, Su Buxiao, in a death-defying move, used his fan to lift Mi Yu-chu's chin. "My wish is for your precious daughter to marry me." Hearing this, the scene erupted. The next moment, Su Buxiao began his heartfelt confession. "Look at Miss Me's big, intelligent eyes, her cherry lips that look like they've been poisoned, and her asymmetrical buns that could kill someone with OCD. If I don't go to hell, who will?" Hearing this, Mi Yu-chu's face was expressionless. He immediately told his father that he also wanted to participate in the competition. Mi Yuchu, silently tied on a blindfold, directly picked up Su Buxiao next to him as a javelin, and with world-destroying strength, threw His Highness the young lord out. The next moment, Su Buxiao's head was firmly stuck in the pitch pot 800 meters away. He didn't expect that in order to not get married, Yu Chu was willing to participate himself. At this, Mi Yuchu's face was indifferent. He still remembered that in his past life, he was the one who actively proposed to Su Buxiao. In the end, Su Buxiao reluctantly married him. This guy is so proactive, his dad must have given him a direct order. Princess Hongxiu, on the side, stared at Mi Yuchu's back. This woman dares to compete with me for a man. I'll make him pay at tonight's banquet. The evening banquet started on time. Mi Yuchu, who was preparing to eat alone, was suddenly stopped by someone. Wang Fu snatched Mi Yuchu's wine cup and said that this cup of wine had been poisoned. Hearing this, Mi Yuqian rushed over and questioned who wanted to harm his sister. Suddenly, the siblings were stunned. Wang Fu, in front of them, actually drank the poisoned wine in one gulp. As the son of an imperial physician, common poisons were ineffective against him. In an instant, Wang Fu began his show-off mode. But before he could finish, he suddenly foamed at the mouth. It seems the poison in this wine was indeed not ordinary. The three of them, who thought everything was fine, jumped up in fright. Seeing Mi Yuchu's indifferent expression, Wang Run, the second brother, instantly shouted, why brother was poisoned to save this woman? But why is this woman's expression so cold? Seeing that Mi Yuchu was still unmoved, Wang Ren broke down again. At this, Mi Yuchu said, Wang Fu drank that wine himself, and he knew there was poison in the wine. He must have a screw loose. Hearing this, Wang Run gritted his teeth in anger. In front of everyone, he accused Mi Yuchu of being the culprit. Faced with such a flimsy reason, Mi Yuchu was dismissive. But as luck would have it, a packet of poison suddenly appeared at Mi Yuchu's feet. Mi Yuchu's eyes turned cold. Wang Run was about to drag Mi Yuchu to see the emperor and have him sentenced to death. But at this moment, Princess Hongxiu on the side burst into tears. She had only put a little laxative in the wine. The effect of the poison couldn't possibly be so severe. Seeing that there was an accomplice, Wang Run grabbed Princess Hongxiu, wanting to take her to see the emperor as well. The next moment, Mi Yuchu kicked him to the ground. What kind of trash dares to cause trouble in the general's mansion? Since you're in such a hurry to see the emperor, I'll accompany you to get to the bottom of this. Suddenly, a shout stopped the two of them. Su Buxiao struggled to climb onto the table. Your brother Wang Fu isn't dead yet. Instead of finding a doctor to save him, you're here trying to catch the culprit. At this moment, Su Buxiao's expression was tense. Just now was the perfect time for him to make a handsome rescue. But this crazy woman actually stepped on his face and flew over. Moreover, from the smell remaining in the wine cup, he could tell that there were two different drugs mixed in. As a member of the imperial physician's family, Wang Run should have noticed this easily. Apart from the laxative that Princess Hongxiu put in, the most deadly was a poison called Thousand Mountains. No birds fly. If a man drinks it, he will become sterile. When the two drugs are mixed together, they create a new toxin. This is why Wang Fu has been unconscious. Hearing this, Wang Ren immediately started accusing, continuing to frame Mi Yuchu for deliberately poisoning Wang Fu. But why would Mi Yuchu poison his own wine cup? At this, Su Buxiao immediately went into taunt mode. This woman must have done too many bad things in the past to be framed like this. But the poisoner is definitely not Mi Yuchu himself, because this Thousand Mountains, No Birds Fly is a secret medicine of the imperial physician Wang family. No matter how slow-witted Mi Yuchu is, he wouldn't go and buy poison from his enemy's family, leaving evidence for himself. Only someone as brainless as Hongxiu would do something like that. In that case, let's investigate the real culprit. Su Buxiao instantly transformed into a pig-nosed detective and sniffed the air wildly. Finally, without any effort, he found the wine bottle that contained the poison wine. Then, he used the fingerprint method to test the wine bottle. Whoever touched the bottle is the real culprit. But the next moment, Su Buxiao's face suddenly stiffened. There wasn't a single fingerprint on the smooth bottle. In the prison cell, the beautiful young lord woke up from his coma. Is this the human trafficker's headquarters? Seeing that Mi Yu-chu was not around, Su Buxiao quickly asked about his whereabouts. It turned out that the place where Su Buxiao was being held was a prison specifically for women. And Mi Yu-chu, who was disguised as a man, and Xiao Ba, whose male identity was discovered, were held separately. Hearing this, Su Buxiao was in a panic. Will Mi Yu-chu be body searched? Hearing this, Guy Lauer was dumbfounded. Your companion is already a man. What kind of body search would he need? Hearing this, Su Buxiao breathed a sigh of relief. But he suddenly realized that Mi Yu-chu's beauty, even when disguised as a man, was still charming. Compared to the fiercely combative Mi Yu-chu, Su Buxiao was now more worried that he, currently disguised as a woman, would be defiled by those despicable human traffickers. On the other side, Xiao Ba, who was also locked in a prison cell, shook Mi Yu-chu awake. It turned out that Xiao Ba had been pretending to be asleep earlier to gather intelligence. Mi Yu-chu looked at the man in front of him and was slightly stunned. Isn't this that country girl from before? Xiao Ba looked at Mi Yu-chu's appearance. At first, he really thought Mi Yu-chu was a woman. But in this world, no woman would be indifferent to her own beauty. Therefore, he had let go of his suspicion of Mi Yu-chu. The prison cell they were in now had been filled with poisonous smoke by the human traffickers. If they fell asleep, they could easily die in their sleep. But the next moment, Mi Yu-chu started snoring. Xiao Ba was very curious why Mi Yu-chu had come to investigate this disappearance case. But Mi Yu-chu was indifferent to this. I'm immune to all poisons. Right now, I just want to sleep. Seeing Mi Yu-chu lost in thought, the narcissistic Xiao Ba thought he wanted to hear more of his deep voice. Mi Yu-chu, who had been tormented to the point of being unable to sleep, suddenly clenched his fists. And Xiao Ba, on the side, began to tell stories about his family. It turned out that he was born into a noble family. His father had many wives and countless children, until one day, the family fell into decline. His father sought a way to revive the family, but was attacked by bandits on the way. Later, he was saved by a woman from a small village. The two fell in love, but the woman suddenly died unexpectedly. From then on, his father became taciturn and no longer cared about the family's prosperity. He even married the woman's corpse. So, the poor Xiao Ba had to take on the heavy responsibility of reviving the family. So, isn't my story very exciting? On the other side, Mi Yu-chu was already fast asleep that I've told you so many times that you'll die if you fall asleep. Why are you still so stubborn? This kid is really interesting and cute. After all, in this world, no one has dared to defy my wishes so many times. And this kid is also my type. The next moment, Xiao Ba grabbed Mi Yu-chu's arm. Anyway, we're all going to die sooner or later. So before I die, let me have some fun. Xiao Ba's eyes instantly became perverted. Just at this moment, the half-asleep Mi Yu-chu suddenly heard Su Buxiao's cries for help from the next cell. Mi Yu-chu casually broke free from Xiao Ba's control. On the other side, Su Buxiao was crying and shouting. The human traffickers in front of him surrounded him like hungry wolves. But the next moment, with the cracking of the wall, several human traffickers were sent flying. What kind of divine soldier is this? The human trafficker was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. The next moment, he was hit by a brick and his eyeballs flew out. At this moment, Mi Yu-chu's face was full of killing intent. It's the middle of the night. Can't you let people sleep? Mi Yu-chu turned to ask if Su Buxiao was dead or alive. Guy Lauer was covered in cold sweat. Although Su Buxiao wasn't killed by the human traffickers, Mi Yu-chu's kick was very likely to send the unlucky young lord to the afterlife. Seeing Su Buxiao in this state, Mi Yu-chu happily began to perform last rites for him. Are you this happy that I'm dead? Seeing that Su Buxiao was still alive and kicking, a look of disappointment appeared on Mi Yu-chu's face. But strangely, when he heard Su Buxiao's cry for help just now, he had subconsciously started to move. And seeing Su Buxiao saved, he even felt a sense of relief. Su Buxiao, on the side, looked arrogant. Although this woman was a bit violent, she had saved him after all. He should still thank her. Mi Yu-chu stared at the young lord in front of him with a strange look. He asked Su Buxiao to call his name again to dispel the strange doubts in his mind. Hearing this, the stubborn young lord started courting death again. You duplicitous woman, have you finally decided to exchange pet names with this young master? Do you want this young master to call you Choo-Choo or Mini Ching-Ching? After this series of actions, it was no surprise that His Highness the Young Lord was about to have another accident. Just then, a shout caught everyone's attention. It turned out that behind the prison cell, where everyone was being held, there was an unknown cave. At this moment, someone found their daughter's clothes in the cave. It was not difficult to confirm that this must be the human traffickers' headquarters. Despite this confirmation, the crowd didn't see a single person in the cave. Seeing this, Su Buxiao frowned. This matter was definitely not that simple. He ordered the brothers of the beggar gang to dig up the soil in the cave. Unexpectedly, the crowd discovered a skeleton of white bones in the earth. Meanwhile, Su Buxiao discovered a plant in the soil called the Su Guan vine. The assassin he and Mi Yu Chu encountered last time was carrying just such a vine. This vine is like a container for storing blood. It will preserve fresh blood absorbed within a year and use it as nutrients. The most precious nutrient is the blood of young maidens. And this soil was likely the final resting place of those missing girls. They were buried in the soil, their blood slowly drained to become the necessary nutrients for the vine. Hearing this, Lao Huang at the side instantly flew into a rage. If that was the case, hadn't his daughter already met a cruel fate? Just then, a member of the beggar gang noticed something unusual. In the distance, a deathly pale hand suddenly broke through the soil. Everyone present instantly fell into chaos. To prevent infection, Su Buxiao picked up a spray bottle and disinfected the hand. The next second, Su Buxiao was sent flying by Lao Huang. This was clearly the hand of a living person. Anxious for his beloved daughter, Lao Huang immediately decided to rescue this poor soul buried in the earth. No matter who he rescued, he would take them as his goddaughter or godson. Immediately after, a figure burst out of the soil. Assassin's son looked at his new godfather with a cold smile, then backhanded a sharp blade into Lao Huang's neck. Immediately after, Lao Huang was entangled by the blood-sucking vine from before, unable to move. In just an instant, Lao Huang was sucked dry to skin and bones. In contrast, the assassin was disgusted that Lao Huang's blood wasn't fresh enough. It turned out that Assassin's son's usual paintings were all created using the fresh blood stored in the vines here. Su Buxiao immediately recognized the identity of the assassin before him, but Sun shifted his gaze to Mi Yu Chu. Ever since Mi Yu Chu had defeated him last time, Sun had been unable to forget this formidable woman. An intense desire in his heart made him want to pour Mi Yu Chu's fresh blood into the vine. Hearing this, the corners of Su Buxiao's mouth turned up. "Sorry, I'm protecting this woman." As his voice fell, a swarm of bats suddenly burst out of thin air, blocking Sun's vision. The assassin was startled. Could it be that this kid had done something to him? Hearing this, Su Buxiao sneered. It turned out that earlier, Su Buxiao had sprayed a special drug on Sunday. If Sun couldn't leave the cave now, he too would have his blood sucked dry by this swarm of bats. Seeing this, the assassin's eyes glinted. He threw out a sharp blade, wanting to drag Mi Yu Chu down with him to die. The next moment, Mi Yu Chu's body was tightly bound by the vine. Su Buxiao was instantly worried for Mi Yu Chu's safety. But just then, the sharp blade at the end of the vine suddenly pierced Mi Yu Chu's body. But before the vine could draw blood, the minions created from the brush painting broke their teeth on Mi Yu Chu's hard muscles. Mi Yu Chu casually grabbed a vine and with one pull, yanked the distant assassin's son in front of her. Why did this scene feel somewhat familiar? Immediately after, Mi Yu Chu delivered a headbutt to the assassin. The number one assassin, who had been so smug just a moment ago, was now shot out of the cave like a cannonball. The next moment, Su Buxiao was aghast. Although Mi Yu Chu's muscles were incredibly firm, the friction from the vine had caused tears to appear in Mi Yu Chu's clothes. Even her chest binder was clearly exposed. Mi Yu Chu's identity as a woman could no longer be hidden after all. The brothers of the beggar gang instantly surrounded Mi Yu Chu. However, what they were focused on was Mi Yu Chu's soft, long hair. Seeing this, Su Buxiao fell into deep thought. This woman's chest is flatter than mine. I really don't know why she needs to use something like a chest binder. Just then, a strange figure walked into the crowd. It turned out to be the old leader of the beggar gang. Just as they were regrouping to deal with the assassin, they discovered that the assassin had long since fled. In that case, all they could do was destroy the vines here. Rescuing the abducted girls would also count as an achievement. But the sharp-tongued Guy Lauer once again questioned Mi Yu Chu's gender. Seeing this, Su Buxiao was startled. At this moment, Mi Yuchu was gradually entering a berserk state. Su Buxiao quickly draped his outer coat over Mi Yuchu, but the next moment he began to court death. He dared to explain to the crowd that Mi Yuchu was his own fiancée. She just had a penchant for men's clothing, which was why she dressed as a man when she went out. The next moment, Mi Yuchu supported Su Buxiao's hand. Su Buxiao was stunned. Immediately after, he was brought back to reality by the sharp pain from his palm. Seeing that they were about to be force-fed a public display of affection, the onlookers immediately dispersed. The next moment, the heroine's favorability plummeted by 30 points. Didn't I just take a small advantage with my words? I was kindly helping you out of a jam. You're holding a grudge over this too? Despite this, Su Buxiao still decided to apologize to win back Mi Yuchu's favorability. But just at this moment, Guy Lauer suddenly appeared, forcefully dragging the two of them to be introduced to the leader of the beggar gang. But before he could make the introduction, he was interrupted by another shout. A member of the beggar gang brought a token before them. This was a token found in the human trafficker's wig. The beggar gang leader immediately recognized it as a bailiff's token from the local county yamen. Once this matter involved government officials, the subsequent handling would become extremely troublesome. But compared to this, Su Buxiao was more worried about the formidable lady beside him suddenly clearing out all his favorability points. Mi Yuchu was very annoyed by Su Buxiao's gaze. At this point, they had already been dragged into this mess. Seeing so many innocent girls harmed, she couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Since this matter was related to the county yamen, they could get to the bottom of it by sneaking into the yamen and questioning the magistrate directly. The scene changes. A yamen bailiff is sent flying by a punch from the suddenly appearing Mi Yuchu. The poor magistrate cowered on the ground, so scared he was about to report to the authorities on the spot. Su Buxiao looked on helplessly. What happened to sneaking in? In broad daylight, a large group of people wearing night-traveling clothes entering the yamen to beat someone up is also called sneaking in. At that moment, the beggar gang leader took out the token and uttered a command. The magistrate's body trembled. Hearing this, the magistrate trembled all over. Regarding the case of the missing girls, he stated that even if he died, he would not reveal a single detail. Just then, a white light flashed out of thin air. The next moment, the magistrate fell to the ground without a sound. Silenced by murder? Su Buxiao was instantly enraged. There were so many skilled people present, yet not a single one had moved to block the hidden weapon. But the next moment, the supposedly assassinated magistrate sat up. It turned out that the white light was just a pile of bird droppings. But the magistrate was convinced that the bird droppings were a warning from the assassin outside. All along, someone had been monitoring him around the clock. Hearing this, Mi Yuchu suddenly scooped up a few broken stones. With a wave of her hand, she shot them towards the yamen gate. In an instant, the men in black responsible for surveillance outside the gate were completely eliminated. Now you can continue talking. The magistrate was so frightened by Mi Yuchu's methods that he trembled all over and burst into loud sobs. The magistrate then took out a secret decree and handed it to them. To feed those vines, the magistrate was forced to transport a large number of women to the cave every year. But because the number was insufficient this year, he was ordered to find local people to fill the quota. And the person who issued this secret decree was none other than the current Son of Heaven. Everyone was shocked. It was an order from the emperor himself. How could this be? Could the emperor also be connected to that assassin? For all these years, doing these unconscionable things, the magistrate lived in fear every day, having nightmares every night, all to provide the pigments for that master's paintings. Hearing this, Mi Yuchu instantly clenched her fists. In front of the county yamen, the group, having found out the truth, chose to leave. Facing the current emperor, even if they found the truth, there was nothing they could do. But fortunately, that corrupt official would no longer aid the tyrant, which was a great thing in itself. The beggar gang leader immediately invited Su Buxiao up the mountain for a celebration feast. Thinking of the opportunity to refresh his favorability score, Su Buxiao gladly accepted. Listening to Su Buxiao's boisterous voice, Mi Yuchu suddenly had a feeling of déjà vu. Seeing his chance, Su Buxiao quickly explained. The reason he said she was his fiancée was mainly to help Mi Yuchu out of a difficult situation. He was only halfway through his sentence when Mi Yuchu's favorability plummeted again. This guy doesn't even know which sentence of his offended me, and he's just apologizing randomly here. My chest is obviously bigger than yours. So, this was what the woman had been hung up on all day. Fortunately, after some comparison, Miyochu's favorability rose back up by 100 points. In the prison cell, the stunningly beautiful prince woke up from his stupor. Could this be the human trafficker's main camp? Seeing no sign of Miyochu, Su Buxiao quickly asked about her whereabouts. It turned out that the place Su Buxiao was in was a prison specifically for women. As for Miyochu, who was dressed as a man, and Xiao Ba, who was discovered to be a man, they were locked up separately. Hearing this, Su Buxiao panicked. Miyochu isn't going to be physically inspected by others, is she? Hearing this, Guy Lauer was completely bewildered. Your companion is a man to begin with. What kind of physical inspection would there be? Hearing this, Su Buxiao breathed a sigh of relief. But he suddenly realized that Miyochu's beauty, even when disguised as a man, still had a lingering charm. Compared to the powerfully combat-capable Miyochu, Su Buxiao was currently more worried that he, now dressed as a woman, might be defiled by those despicable human traffickers. On the other side, Xiao Ba, who was also locked in a cell, grabbed Miyochu and shook him. It turned out that Xiao Ba had been pretending to be asleep earlier to scout out the enemy situation. Miyochu looked at the man before him, slightly startled. Isn't this that country girl from before? Xiao Ba looked at Miyochu's features. At first, he really thought Miyochu was a woman. But in this world, no woman would be indifferent to her own beauty. Therefore, he had dismissed his suspicions about Miyochu. The cell they were in now had been filled with a sleeping incense by the traffickers. If they fell asleep, it would be easy to die in their sleep. But the next moment, Miyochu started snoring loudly. Xiao Ba was very curious why Miyochu had come to investigate this missing persons case. But Miyochu was indifferent to it. I'm immune to all poisons. Right now, I just want to sleep soundly. Seeing Miyochu in a daze, the narcissistic Xiao Ba thought he wanted to hear more of his own deep voice. Miyochu, who had been tormented to the point of being unable to sleep, instantly clenched her fists. Meanwhile, Xiao Ba at the side began to tell interesting stories about his family on his own. It turned out he was born into a prestigious family. His father had many wives and countless children, until one day, the family fell into decline. His father sought a way to revive the family, but was attacked by thugs on the road. Later, he was saved by a woman from a small village. The two fell in love and got married, but the woman suddenly died in an accident. After that, his father became taciturn, no longer caring even about the family's rise or fall. He even held a wedding ceremony with the woman's corpse. So, the pitiful Xiao Ba had to take on the heavy responsibility of reviving the family. So, isn't my story very exciting? On the other side, Miyochu was already fast asleep. I've said so many times that you'll die if you fall asleep. Why is this guy still so stubborn? This kid is really interestingly cute. After all, in this world, no one has dared to defy my wishes time and time again. And this kid even fits my aesthetic. The next moment, Xiao Ba suddenly grabbed Miyochu's arm. Since we're going to sleep to death sooner or later, then give this young master a little pick-me-up before we die. Xiao Ba's eyes instantly became perverted. Just at this moment, the half-asleep Miyochu suddenly heard Su Buxiao's cries for help from the next cell. Miyochu casually broke free from Xiao Ba's control. On the other side, Su Buxiao was wailing. The traffickers in front of him surrounded him like hungry wolves. But the next moment, with the sound of the wall breaking, the traffickers were sent flying in an instant. What kind of divine soldier is this? The trafficker was so scared he broke out in a cold sweat. The next moment, he was hit by a brick, his eyeballs flying wildly. At this moment, Miyochu had a murderous look on her face. In the middle of the night, are you going to let people sleep or not? Miyochu turned her head to ask if Su Buxiao was dead or alive. Guy Lauer was covered in cold sweat. Although Su Buxiao wasn't killed by the traffickers, Miyochu's kick was very likely to send the unlucky prince to the Western Paradise. Seeing Su Buxiao in this state, Miyochu happily began to perform last rites for him. Are you this happy that I'm dead? Seeing that Su Buxiao was still alive and kicking, a look of disappointment appeared on Miyochu's face. But strangely, when she heard Su Buxiao's cry for help just now, she had subconsciously started to move. She even felt a sense of relief seeing Su Buxiao saved. At the side, Su Buxiao had an arrogant look. Although this woman was a bit violent, she had saved him after all. He still had to thank her. Mi Yuchu stared strangely at the prince before her. She asked Su Buxiao to call her name again to dispel the strange doubts in her mind. Hearing this, the hard-to-kill prince started courting death again. "You Tsundere woman, have you figured it out and want to exchange pet names with this young master? Do you want this young master to call you Choo Choo or Mini Ching Ching?" After this series of actions, it was no surprise that His Highness the Prince was about to have another accident. Just then, a shout caught everyone's attention. It turned out that behind the prison where everyone was held, there was an unknown cave. At this moment, someone had found their daughter's clothes in the cave. It was not difficult to confirm that this must be the location of the human trafficker's main camp. Despite this certainty, the group didn't see a single person in the cave. Seeing this, Su Buxiao frowned. This matter was definitely not that simple. He ordered the brothers of the beggar gang to dig up the soil in the cave. Unexpectedly, the crowd discovered a skeleton of white bones in the earth. Meanwhile, Su Buxiao discovered a plant in the soil called the Su Guan vine. The assassin Mi Yuchu encountered last time was carrying just such a vine. This vine is like a container for storing blood. It will preserve fresh blood absorbed within a year and use it as nutrients. The most precious nutrient is the blood of young maidens, and this soil was likely the final resting place of those missing girls. They were buried in the soil, their blood slowly drained to become the necessary nutrients for the vine. Hearing this, Lao Huang at the side instantly flew into a rage. If that was the case, hadn't his daughter already met a cruel fate? Just then, a member of the beggar gang noticed something unusual. In the distance, a deathly pale hand suddenly broke through the soil. Everyone present instantly fell into chaos. To prevent infection, Su Buxiao picked up a spray bottle and disinfected the hand. The next second, Su Buxiao was sent flying by Lao Huang. This was clearly the hand of a living person. Anxious for his beloved daughter, Lao Huang immediately decided to rescue this poor soul buried in the earth. No matter who he rescued, he would take them as his goddaughter or godson. Immediately after, a figure burst out of the soil. Assassin's son looked at his new godfather with a cold smile, then backhanded a sharp blade into Lao Huang's neck. Immediately after, Lao Huang was entangled by the blood-sucking vine from before, unable to move. In just an instant, Lao Huang was sucked dry to skin and bones. In contrast, the assassin was disgusted that Lao Huang's blood wasn't fresh enough. It turned out that Assassin's son's usual paintings were all created using the fresh blood stored in the vines here. Su Buxiao immediately recognized the identity of the assassin before him, but Sun shifted his gaze to Mi Yuchu. Ever since Mi Yuchu had defeated him last time, Sun had been unable to forget this formidable woman. An intense desire in his heart made him want to pour Mi Yuchu's fresh blood into the vine. Hearing this, the corners of Su Buxiao's mouth turned up. "Sorry, I'm protecting this woman." As his voice fell, a swarm of bats suddenly burst out of thin air, blocking Sun's vision. The assassin was startled. Could it be that this kid had done something to him? Hearing this, Su Buxiao sneered. It turned out that earlier, Su Buxiao had sprayed a special drug on Sunday. If Sun couldn't leave the cave now, he too would have his blood sucked dry by this swarm of bats. Seeing this, the assassin's eyes glinted. He threw out a sharp blade, wanting to drag Mi Yuchu down with him to die. The next moment, Mi Yuchu's body was tightly bound by the vine. Su Buxiao was instantly worried for Mi Yuchu's safety. But just then, the sharp blade at the end of the vine suddenly pierced Mi Yuchu's body. But before the vine could draw blood, the minions created from the brush painting broke their teeth on Mi Yuchu's hard muscles. Mi Yuchu casually grabbed a vine. With one pull, she yanked the distant assassin's son in front of her. Why did this scene feel somewhat familiar? Immediately after, Mi Yuchu delivered a headbutt to the assassin. The #1 assassin, who had been so smug just a moment ago, was now shot out of the cave like a cannonball. The next moment, Su Buxiao was aghast. Although Mi Yuchu's muscles were incredibly firm, the friction from the vine had caused tears to appear in Mi Yuchu's clothes. Even her chest binder was clearly exposed. Mi Yuchu's identity as a woman could no longer be hidden after all. The brothers of the beggar gang instantly surrounded Mi Yuchu. However, what they were focused on was Mi Yuchu's soft, long hair. Seeing this, Su Buxiao fell into deep thought. This woman's chest is flatter than mine. I really don't know why she needs to use something like a chest binder. Just then, a strange figure walked into the crowd. It turned out to be the old leader of the beggar gang. Just as they were regrouping to deal with the assassin, they discovered that the assassin had long since fled. In that case, all they could do was destroy the vines here. Rescuing the abducted girls would also count as an achievement. But the sharp-tongued Guy Lauer once again questioned Mi Youchu's gender. Seeing this, Su Buxiao was startled. At this moment, Mi Youchu was gradually entering a berserk state. Su Buxiao quickly draped his outer coat over Mi Youchu, but the next moment, he began to court death. He dared to explain to the crowd that Mi Youchu was his own fiancée. She just had a penchant for men's clothing, which was why she dressed as a man when she went out. The next moment, Mi Youchu supported Su Buxiao's hand. Su Buxiao was stunned. Immediately after, he was brought back to reality by the sharp pain from his palm. Seeing that they were about to be force-fed a public display of affection, the onlookers immediately dispersed. The next moment, the heroine's favorability plummeted by 30 points. Didn't I just take a small advantage with my words? I was kindly helping you out of a jam. You're holding a grudge over this too? Despite this, Su Buxiao still decided to apologize to win back Mi Youchu's favorability. But just at this moment, Guy Lauer suddenly appeared, forcefully dragging the two of them to be introduced to the leader of the beggar gang. But before he could make the introduction, he was interrupted by another shout. A member of the beggar gang brought a token before them. This was a token found in the human trafficker's wig. The beggar gang leader immediately recognized it as a bailiff's token from the local county yamen. Once this matter involved government officials, the subsequent handling would become extremely troublesome. But compared to this, Su Buxiao was more worried about the formidable lady beside him suddenly clearing out all his favorability. Mi Youchu was very annoyed by Su Buxiao's gaze. At this point, they had already been dragged into this mess. Seeing so many innocent girls harmed, she couldn't just stand by and do nothing. Since this matter was related to the county yamen, they could get to the bottom of it by sneaking into the yamen and questioning the magistrate directly. The scene changes. A yamen bailiff is sent flying by a punch from the suddenly appearing Mi Youchu. The poor magistrate cowered on the ground, so scared he was about to report to the authorities on the spot. Su Buxiao looked on helplessly. What happened to sneaking in? In broad daylight, a large group of people wearing night-traveling clothes entering the yamen to beat someone up is also called sneaking in? At that moment, the beggar gang leader took out the token and uttered a command. The magistrate's body trembled. Hearing this, the magistrate trembled all over. Regarding the case of the missing girls, he stated that even if he died, he would not reveal a single detail. Just then, a white light flashed out of thin air. The next moment, the magistrate fell to the ground without a sound. Silenced by murder? Su Buxiao was instantly enraged. There were so many skilled people present, yet not a single one had moved to block the hidden weapon. But the next moment, the supposedly assassinated magistrate sat up. It turned out that the white light was just a pile of bird droppings. But the magistrate was convinced that the bird droppings were a warning from the assassin outside. All along, someone had been monitoring him around the clock. Hearing this, Mi Youchu suddenly scooped up a few broken stones. With a wave of her hand, she shot them towards the yamen gate. In an instant, the men in black responsible for surveillance outside the gate were completely eliminated. Now you can continue talking. The magistrate was so frightened by Mi Youchu's methods that he trembled all over and burst into loud sobs. The magistrate then took out a secret decree and handed it to them. To feed those vines, the magistrate was forced to transport a large number of women to the cave every year. But because the number was insufficient this year, he was ordered to find local people to fill the quota. And the person who issued this secret decree was none other than the current Son of Heaven. Everyone was shocked. It was an order from the emperor himself. How could this be? Could the emperor also be connected to that assassin? For all these years, doing these unconscionable things, the magistrate lived in fear every day, having nightmares every night, all to provide the pigments for that master's paintings. Hearing this, Mi Youchu instantly clenched her fists. In front of the county yamen, the group, having found out the truth, chose to leave. Facing the current emperor, even if they found the truth, there was nothing they could do. But fortunately, that corrupt official would no longer aid the tyrant, which was a great thing in itself. The beggar gang leader immediately invited Su Buxiao up the mountain for a celebration feast. Thinking of the opportunity to refresh his favorability score, Su Buxiao gladly accepted. Listening to Su Buxiao's boisterous voice, Mi Yuchu suddenly had a feeling of déjà vu. Seeing his chance, Su Buxiao quickly explained. The reason he said she was his fiancée was mainly to help Mi Yuchu out of a difficult situation. He was only halfway through his sentence when Mi Yuchu's favorability plummeted again. This guy doesn't even know which sentence of his offended me, and he's just apologizing randomly here. My chest is obviously bigger than yours. So, this was what the woman had been hung up on all day. Fortunately, after some comparison, Mi Yuchu's favorability rose back up by 100 points. In the eerie cave, a sinister fire flickered. His Highness the Prince, who had been so excited just a second ago, was now curled up and trembling. Just an hour ago, all the members of the beggar gang had gone out to buy ingredients. Su Buxiao and the leader of the beggar gang stayed behind to watch the cave. But as luck would have it, legend had it that a ghost in a red dress often appeared in this cave. This scared half the life out of the timid prince. So, Su Buxiao began to console himself. In this world, there shouldn't be any settings for ghosts and gods, right? The next moment, Mi Yuchu, who was sitting on the ground, scared the prince so much he left an afterimage. At this moment, Mi Yuchu was hugging her knees and signed to herself. It turned out that earlier, she had mistaken the leader of the beggar gang for her long-lost older brother. After confirming, Mi Yuchu completely gave up her last hope. Thinking of this, Mi Yuchu couldn't help but sigh. You're so noisy. Mi Yuchu picked up a stone and threw it at the prince by the stove. Rubbing the super large bump on his head, which was at least 2.5 meters tall, the prince finally quieted down. If they don't come back, can't you go out and look for them? Don't tell me you're afraid of ghosts. Su Buxiao quickly explained. What a joke. How could this young master be afraid of such nonsense? Although he said that, Su Buxiao's guilty expression completely exposed his true inner thoughts. On the other hand, the fearless Mi Yuchu immediately decided to go look for them. The cowardly prince talked tough, but after just 2 steps, he collapsed in fear. Although Su Buxiao wanted to go out with Mi Yuchu, his legs were too weak to walk now, and he didn't dare to stay in the cave alone. Seeing Su Buxiao's tearful appearance, Mi Yuchu suddenly remembered that strange creature that had run away from him before. System notification. Heroine's favorability plus 99. Seeing this, His Highness the Prince, who was busy crying, froze on the spot. This can also increase favorability? Is this woman's sadistic streak acting up again? The next moment, Su Buxiao was dragged out of the cave. In the gloomy forest, several suspicious figures were secretly plotting something. It turned out that in the beggar gang, there was a tradition of scaring newcomers at the celebration banquet. They used the rumor of the ghost in red in the town. First, they would dress up as a female ghost to scare Su Buxiao and the other one, and then give them a sumptuous feast. Such an act was indeed quite amusing. But just at this moment, a sound from the jungle attracted their attention. The next moment, the members of the beggar gang were scared out of their wits by 2 black shadows that suddenly appeared in the jungle. Taking a closer look, the 2 figures were actually Su Buxiao and Mi Yuchu, who had gone out to look for the beggar gang members. It was a false alarm. You guys actually pretended to be a female ghost to scare people. That's too vicious. To this, the members of the beggar gang cursed inwardly. How are we scary? You 2 are the truly scary ones, okay? When the beggar gang leader led troops on expeditions before, every new recruit had to undergo a similar test. Hearing this, Mi Yuchu at the side was suddenly startled. Her hands loosened, and she dropped the scalding hot food onto Su Buxiao's leg. You're saying your leader has led troops on expeditions before? Mi Yuchu asked with urgent concern. Of course. Not only that, the leader was a general in the army back then. Before he could finish, the beggar gang leader at the side suddenly spoke up, stopping his subordinate. Just at this moment, Mi Yuchu, who was eating, stood up with a whoosh. She walked quickly to the beggar gang leader and carefully examined the man whose face was covered by long hair. Then, she directly reached out and lifted his ghostly long hair. My goodness, this leader, How many years has it been since he last groomed his body hair? Even his eyebrows flowed down like a waterfall. Mi Yu-chu pursed her lips. If this man before her wasn't her older brother, as a fellow military man, he should know the whereabouts of her brother, Mi Yu-mao. Hearing this, the beggar gang leader was slightly stunned. He slowly lifted his waist-length bangs. Miss, do we know each other? Hearing this sentence, Mi Yu-chu was instantly shocked. It turned out the leader's real name was not Gai. Su Buxiao was also very surprised. But Mi Yu-chu, seeing her brother's sloppy appearance, immediately wanted to slip away in embarrassment. Her older brother would never look like this. Besides, she had secretly checked before. This man didn't have her brother's birthmark on his right shoulder. To this, Guy Lauer quickly stepped forward to explain. The cave was dim at the time, and Mi Yu-chu had looked at the wrong place in her haste. Mi Yu-mao had been used to sleeping on his stomach for years, so what Mi Yu-chu saw at that time was her brother's left shoulder. Hearing his sister's voice, Mi Yu-mao was instantly overjoyed. Mi Yu-chu looked at her brother, her heart surging with emotion. But the next moment, she completely lost it because of her brother's hairy face. It turned out that after taking a bath, her brother was actually so handsome and dashing. Mi Yu-mao looked at Mi Yu-chu with a complicated expression. At this moment, he still suspected whether the girl he hadn't seen for many years was really his little sister. After all, when he left back then, his little sister was still wearing the split-crotch training pants he had made for her himself. I'm so damn old now, who still wears split-crotch pants? Feeling the familiar force, Mi Yu-mao, who was sent flying into the air, immediately confirmed that the girl before him was indeed his little sister. Late at night, the siblings sat under the moon and talked. Back then, their older brother led the Mi family army on an expedition. He should have been glorious. Why had he become this sloppy mess now? And where had all the brothers of the Mi family army gone? Hearing this, Mi Yu-mao was lost in his own sorrow. Seeing her brother remain silent, Mi Yu-chu couldn't help but feel sad. Even if he was unwilling to tell the truth, why wouldn't her brother come home with her? In the years her brother was missing, their father and sister-in-law had been extremely sad. In the past, their father could eat 12 bowls of rice in one sitting. Now, due to excessive grief, he could only eat 8 bowls before he was too weak to continue. Mi Yu-mao sighed, thinking of his father and wife whom he hadn't seen for many years, as well as his brothers who had fought on the battlefield. He couldn't help but feel guilty. At the side, Mi Yu-chu suddenly heard her brother's indistinct mumbling. "You fellow, if you can't give me a reason, I don't mind beating you until you talk sense, just like when we were kids." To this, her brother quickly explained. He still had one important matter to attend to. Once it was settled, he would definitely go home and give everyone an explanation. The next morning, Su Buxiao and Mi Yu-chu, escorted by the members of the beggar gang, arrived at the city gate. "Brother, are you sure you're not coming back with us?" And in broad daylight, "What are you doing wearing night traveling clothes?" To this, Su Buxiao didn't want to waste any more words. But just as he was about to leave, he was suddenly stopped by soldiers. The city gate is sealed. A plague has suddenly broken out in Qinghai County. All citizens are forbidden from leaving the city. A plague? Could be a zombie virus outbreak in the city. Su Buxiao instantly fell into deep thought. But Mi Yu-chu at the side suddenly felt that the name Qinghai County sounded very familiar. The soldier's attitude was very firm. Even if the Jade Emperor himself came, he wouldn't let anyone take a single step out of the city. Just then, Mi Yu-chu stared blankly at the city wall. With a bang, she thrust her arm into the city wall. "Since I can't walk out the main gate, I should be able to climb over the wall, right?" Seeing this, everyone was shocked. The next second, Mi Yu-chu and the others were sent to the yamen. Seeing these plagues again, the magistrate couldn't help but clench his buttocks. Immediately after, the magistrate, as if seeing his savior, threw himself at Su Buxiao. With the current plague outbreak in the past, the imperial court would send imperial physicians to Qinghai County for treatment. But this time, not only did the current son of heaven not send any physicians, he even sealed the city gates, all to let them fend for themselves. To this, Su Buxiao was helpless. The series of events was like a huge vortex, pulling them into even greater trouble. The open space was filled with the painful groans of the infected. To solve the plague, the magistrate was willing to do anything for Su Buxiao and the others. a certain part of the infected person's body would swell inexplicably. To this day, the Yamen has not been able to find out where the real source of infection came from. Hearing this, Su Buxiao was stunned. Could Mi Yuchu also be infected with this contagious disease? Otherwise, how could her muscles be so swollen? Su Buxiao examined the patient in front of him, but found nothing unusual about him. Faced with Su Buxiao's confusion, the young man slowly lifted his skirt. Holy cow, this disease is so awesome! After investigation, Su Buxiao confirmed that this type of disease did not currently show signs of human-to-human transmission. However, there was a big problem with the water in the cups. Everyone, don't drink the water just yet. Hearing this, the three who just raised their cups to drink were stunned. Can we really not drink the water? This disease is really a headache. Su Buxiao frowned, but Mi Yu Mao at the side looked calm. It's not yet completely certain that the water source is the problem. At least, nothing has happened to me. But the next moment, Mi Yu Mao's suddenly swelling chest made everyone present shudder. Does this mean that in the future, I can only call Xiao Chu my sister? Suddenly, they noticed that Mi Yochu's body had not changed at all after drinking the poison water. My arms are already this swollen. Are you all blind? Su Buxiao didn't believe it at all. Mi Yochu's arms were always this thick. But he never expected that this time, the poison-immune Mi Yuchu would also be infected with this unknown virus. The magistrate at the side quickly came forward. Time is tight. If this disease is not cured within 3 days, the patient's vitality will be exhausted, and they will die from total body decay and aging. He never expected this plague to be so ferocious. To this, Su Buxiao immediately realized that this was a great opportunity for his conquest. He grabbed Mi Yochu's chubby hands. Don't worry, Mi Yu, with me here, I will definitely not let you die of old age. Hearing this, Mi Yuchu was slightly stunned. You mean, if you kill me now, I won't have to face old age? Even if I die of old age, I'll beat you, you scoundrel, to a pulp first. System notification. Heroine's favorability -50. Even saying something nice can reduce favorability. This crazy woman is too hard to handle. My life as a prince is too bitter. The condition of Mi Yochu's arm worsened. Although she talked about beating up Su Buxiao, Mi Yuchu felt Su Buxiao's concern for her at her heart. Mi Yuchu, wake up. You absolutely cannot be fooled by this seductive man's tricks. At the side, Su Buxiao, watching the fluctuating favorability, suddenly spat out a mouthful of old blood. The magistrate at the side suddenly looked strange. At this moment, Su Buxiao was facing the air in a bizarre posture, muttering to himself. Has this kid always been this crazy? It turned out that Su Buxiao was using the system to search for information related to the plague. According to the evidence, a certain part of the infected person's body would swell inexplicably, and they would have a verbal tic when speaking. What kind of strange setting is this disease? It seems I haven't heard any strange verbal tics from the infected. Never mind. Let's try the prescription first. Looking at the dark, murky medicinal soup in front of them, everyone present instantly expressed their doubts. Immediately after, Mi Yuchu held the bowl of medicine and drank it all in one go. The next moment, Mi Yochu's swollen arm actually became slender. It was just a bit too slender. What the hell? It's even worse than before. And after drinking the medicine, she started to feel dizzy and feverish. Mi Yuchu was even starting to feel drowsy. Weren't you supposed to be immune to all poisons? If you die, how will this young master live? Wait, Mi Yochu's setting is immunity to all poisons. Then why did she also get sick? Sure enough, the source of this plague was not poison, but a type of venomous goo called water silver goo. And to remove the goo, one needed the world's rare 1000-spirit grass. Where could they find it at such short notice? Suddenly, the magistrate at the side called out to Su Buxiao. It turned out that the magistrate came from a family of physicians. He happened to have a plot of land at home where a lot of 1000-spirit grass was planted. At this moment, this unreliable, corrupt official had completely become everyone's savior. Looking at the suffering crowd, Su Buxiao couldn't help but blame himself. Some patients' aging symptoms had even accelerated. Therefore, Su Buxiao was even more worried about Mi Yochu's condition. Sure enough, Mi Yuchu at the side had already grown white hair. If he had discovered the goo earlier, she might not be in so much pain now. Even if you grow old, I'll be responsible for you. But the next moment, Mi Yu Chu, who had just been looking bitter, was instantly revitalized. Even her hair color returned to its previous state. Did she just directly develop antibodies and kill the child goo? This woman's body is too abnormal. To this, Su Buxiao quickly stuffed the spring water mixed with the goo into Mi Yochu's mouth. Your setting simply doesn't fit the tragic plot. Drink a few more cups. This young master wants to be a hero saving a damsel. The next moment, Su Buxiao's head was pulled up more than 2 meters high by Mi Yuchu. Just at this moment, the magistrate returned. Could this be the legendary thousand spirit grass? As expected of a rare medicinal herb, it has already taken shape. To this, the magistrate quickly explained. When he went home, he found that a group of wild rabbits had suddenly appeared in his garden. The entire field of thousand spirit grass had been eaten clean by the rabbits. These rabbits are too outrageous. What should we do now? At this point, it seems we can only try a desperate remedy. Have you all heard of Wang Yusha? Of course, sir. Are you talking about the excrement of wild rabbits? Suddenly, the magistrate realized something was wrong, but it was too late. The antidote was instantly served on the table, and this time, the antidote was indeed miraculously effective. It's just that Su Buxiao didn't understand. Mi Yuchu had clearly recovered, so why was she still chugging down the antidote? It turned out to be because of the bowl of goo water that Su Buxiao had poured into Mi Yuchu's mouth earlier. Mi Yuchu was worried about being poisoned again, so she drank another cup of the antidote. But in reality, the bowl of water Su Buxiao gave Mi Yuchu did not contain any goo. Mi Yumao at the side had just drunk the antidote. He immediately spat out a thick glob of phlegm. Is this the parasite that was in the body? Everyone's bodies gradually returned to normal. Su Buxiao was instantly surrounded by the crowd, seeing the people recover. Su Buxiao also breathed a sincere sigh of relief. At the side, Mi Yuchu recalled what Su Buxiao had said before, and her opinion of him changed somewhat. Seeing the heroine's favorability increase again, the exhausted Su Buxiao was instantly moved to tears. In that case, I'll try harder and strive to conquer this woman before tonight. Just as Su Buxiao was feeling moved, a guest suddenly appeared and accidentally revealed the truth about the medicinal ingredients. The antidote was actually rabbit droppings. Didn't you say all 3 ingredients were Chinese herbs? You kid, don't say you deliberately put rabbit droppings in to help us vomit for our own good. To this, Su Buxiao was speechless. After a loving caress, the goo removal process reached its final stage. The child goo had been completely cleared. Next was to clear the remaining mother goo in the body. Su Buxiao held the antidote carefully made from rabbit droppings, preparing to pour it into the well. But the next moment, a figure shot out from the well. A sharp blade was pressed directly against Su Buxiao's neck. The deadly blade almost grazed his cheek. In the nick of time, Mi Yuchu acted decisively, saving Su Buxiao from the assassin's fatal attack. You crazy woman, can't you be a little gentler? This young master wasn't killed by him, but I was almost killed by your throw. Wait, why is it this Sun guy again? This fellow is even more of a persistent pest than me. Seeing Mi Yuchu again, an extremely excited expression appeared on Sun's face. Mi Yuchu crushed the blade in her hand. For some reason, she felt that this assassin was much stronger than last time. Su Buxiao and assassin Sun fought fiercely. With one blow, the bandage on Sun's arm was torn open by the force. Just then, the tattoo on Sun's hand caught the attention of an old man in the distance. The old man exclaimed that the tattoo was the curse of the ghost in red. To this, Su Buxiao completely broke down. Where did this old man come from? His spooky appearance is more like a ghost than the female ghost. To this, Assassin Sun suddenly gave a wicked smile, muttering that this time's objective had been achieved. Then he turned and fled. What on earth is this guy's purpose? And the next moment, Su Buxiao exploded. The antidote in his hand had been silently shattered by the assassin. This was the only remaining lifeline. Could this goo and the assassin also have a special connection? To this, Mi Yuchu was more concerned about the old man in the distance. Why would he come to this deep mountain forest in the middle of the night? And what was this curse of the ghost in red that he mentioned? The old man cowered behind a tree, trembling. A fire was lit. The 3 of them came to a cave to rest for a while. It turned out the old man was named Qing Shu, and he was the guardian of this mountain, entrusted by the magistrate. He had specially come to help Su Buxiao. Immediately after, Qing Shu explained the legend of the ghost ghost in red to the two of them. 25 years ago, Qinghai County was just a peaceful little mountain village. Until one day, the daughter of a street performer, Master Wang, found a man covered in blood at the village entrance. At first, the villagers were against her bringing this man into the village. But Master Wang's daughter insisted on taking him home. The two developed feelings for each other and pledged their lives to one another. Later, the man left. Strange red spots appeared on Wang Nyonyo's body. The villagers thought it was a plague and threw Wang Nyonyo, who was wearing a bright red wedding dress, into a stone coffin while she was still alive. Who knew that the man would actually return to the village later, and his identity was also extraordinary. After learning the truth, the man silenced all the participants. Qingshu was too old and had not participated in the matter, so he was lucky to survive. Later, this devoted man held a wedding ceremony with Wang Nyonyo, who was sealed in the coffin. He placed the stone coffin in this cave and ordered Qingshu to guard it for life. After that, there were always rumors nearby that at midnight, Wang Nyonyo could be seen wandering the mountains in a red dress. Thus, the rumor of the ghost in red was born. Hearing this, Su Buxiao was shocked. The body of that ghost in red is actually in this mountain. But Mi Yuchu at the side felt that the story Qingshu told was very familiar. Qingshu suddenly raised his hand. It turned out that Su Buxiao had been sitting on the coffin of that woman in red all along. Hearing this, Su Buxiao jumped up in fright. What kind of sin have I committed? And why are you two so quiet? Have you really seen a ghost? But the next moment, their expressions looked as if they had really seen a ghost. Su Buxiao instantly broke out in a cold sweat. He turned to look at the stone coffin, only to find that it was empty. There really is a ghost. Su Buxiao and Qingshu jumped up in fright. Mi Yuchu at the side was lost in thought. Qingshu had said before that the assassin's tattoo was related to the female ghost, and Qingshu had indeed seen the mark on Sun's body. Hearing this, Su Buxiao displayed his amazing train of thought. You mean, the ghost in red had a sex change operation and became the current assassin? But Mi Yuchu said she didn't believe in ghosts. With the current situation, either the assassin took the body of the ghost in red, or the ghost in red is still alive. So you mean, the ghost in red really had a sex change operation and became the assassin? All these things are really giving me a headache. By the way, what was the identity of the man who married the female ghost? Hearing this, Qingshu fell silent. You don't dare to say? In any case, solving the source of the plague is the top priority. But now that the antidote has been completely destroyed, to remove the goo, we must first go and gather herbs. The next morning, Su Buxiao actually took Mi Yuchu up in a hot air balloon, soaring through the sky. Originally, Su Buxiao planned to sneak out of the city in the hot air balloon, but it was also very convenient for finding the location of the herbs. Not only that, Su Buxiao also prepared a telescope. With the help of technology, he could easily lock onto the location of the herbs. You idiot. Marking it this way is like carving the boat to find the sword. Mi Yuchu looked at the vast scenery before her and suddenly felt that this Su Buxiao fellow was actually quite smart. Hearing this, Su Buxiao immediately became smug. Just then, the hot air balloon suddenly tilted. Mi Yuchu lost her footing and bumped directly into Su Buxiao's arms. They looked at each other, slightly stunned. Realizing the situation was not right, Mi Yuchu quickly averted her gaze from Su Buxiao. Mi Yuchu spoke, sorry, the wind was strong just now. I accidentally bumped into the prince. Seeing this, Su Buxiao reached out and touched the spot where Mi Yuchu had just leaned. Su Buxiao's heart began to beat rapidly. What is this strange feeling? My heart is beating faster and faster. The next moment, Su Buxiao spat out a mouthful of old blood. What kind of iron head technique does this woman practice? She almost knocked this young master out. However, a man and a woman alone in a hot air balloon was also a great opportunity for conquest. As the saying goes, if you don't court death, you won't die. The unlucky prince immediately started to get cheesy. In this scene, overlooking the lights of thousands of homes, isn't it romantic? Hearing this, Mi Yuchu couldn't help but think of Kongming lanterns. Su Buxiao smiled slightly. Yes, just like Kongming lanterns. The next moment, Mi Yuchu's face changed drastically. You really did trick me up here to kill me. Like a Kongming lantern, rising to the sky and finally burning and falling. Suddenly, a wisp of smoke caught Mi Yuchu's attention. Hearing this, Su Buxiao quickly checked the situation. He saw an army resting in the jungle. At this time, Why would an army appear near Qinghai County? Just in case, Su Buxiao asked Mi Yuchu to increase the fire and gain altitude to get a better view of the whole picture. Hearing this, Mi Yuchu pulled the lever. Su Buxiao instantly realized something was wrong. With his Hercules strength, if she pulled hard, wouldn't the balloon be destroyed and they would die? Sure enough, the soaring flames directly pierced through the hot air balloon. The two were speechless. On the other side, the army was sitting together discussing something. Suddenly, a soldier named Xiao Wu pointed to the sky. Is that a Kongming lantern? Quick, let me make a wish. I hope that after the mission is over, the little brother next to me will accept my feelings. The next moment, the hot air balloon falling from the sky exploded into a ball of fire with a boom. My God, what kind of wish did the commander make? The after effect is so strong. On the other side, Mi Yuchu descended from the sky, holding the lifeless prince. He would never have imagined in his life that he would witness the miracle of someone pulling a beehive apart with one hand. Just then, a citizen of Qinghai County urgently called out Su Buxiao's name. It turned out that after Su Buxiao left, people in the town had fallen ill again. How is that possible? Did someone secretly drink from the well and court death? To this, the man strongly requested that Su Buxiao go down the mountain to check on the situation. But Su Buxiao suddenly became suspicious. This man looked unfamiliar. And why were the people down the mountain so familiar with him? To this, the man hurriedly explained that Su Buxiao was the benefactor of Qinghai County. Every household had a portrait of their benefactor, so they were extremely familiar with Su Buxiao. Even so, we have to wait until after we've gathered the herbs. Otherwise, it's useless if we can't cure the disease. But the man insisted that Su Buxiao go down the mountain. Seeing this, Mi Yuchu had to step in to mediate, offering to gather herbs on the mountain in Su Buxiao's place. But for some reason, Mi Yuchu felt an inexplicable sense of anxiety. Time passed minute by minute. After a day of hard work, Mi Yuchu had collected a lot of herbs. However, before gathering the herbs, she forgot to ask Su Buxiao what the herbs looked like. So, she could only collect all the herbs and bring them all down the mountain. Just at this moment, a familiar figure appeared in front of Mi Yuchu. Isn't this that weak, perverted maniac? Why is he here? Miss, you don't have to be so surprised. But that's right. I've been missing for these past few days. You must have been Zhao Tongna. Hearing this, Mi Yuchu fell into deep thought. You were missing? It seems like no one even noticed. To this, Xiaoba didn't care at all and directly asked Mi Yuchu to go down the mountain with him. Since we had a past, you are this young master's person. Don't worry, I will protect you well. To this, Mi Yuchu had a look of confusion. Who the hell are you? Why should I go with you? Hearing this, the man gave a wicked smile. It turned out that this perverted narcissist was actually the current second prince. Hearing this, Mi Yuchu was stunned. She clearly remembered that in her previous life, Su Buxiao's father, along with her own father, had failed in a coup. It was this second prince who captured them. So he was also an indirect enemy who caused the death of the Mi family. Suddenly, Mi Yuchu thought of something. The family story the second prince had told before. The story this guy told before was highly consistent with the legend of the ghost in red. If he is the second prince, then wasn't the one who married the ghost in red the current emperor? Seeing Mi Yuchu's shocked expression, the narcissistic second prince suddenly gave a wicked smile. Mi Yuchu immediately raised her guard. You didn't expect it, did you? Our emperor is actually a romantic who loves beauty more than his country. Hearing this, Mi Yuchu was instantly suspicious. Why was this guy telling her these things? And the second prince's mother, because she accidentally discovered the emperor's secret back then, was immediately sentenced to death by the emperor. Therefore, the second prince decided to find out the truth and clear his mother's name. He saw that Mi Yuchu had a rebellious look, which was very compatible with his own righteous look. The second prince grabbed Mi Yuchu's arm. The next moment, he made a wild statement, demanding that Mi Yuchu follow him. Together, they would overthrow this muddle-headed and incompetent current emperor. After he becomes emperor, Mi Yuchu will become the master of the harem. But the next moment, the second prince suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Mi Yuchu's expression was cold. She backhanded him, almost crushing the second prince's arm. Even if I have a rebellious streak, I won't rebel with someone as unpredictable as you. Suddenly, Mi Yuchu's expression changed. Isn't this the guy who just called Su Buxiao down the mountain? Mi Yuchu grabbed the man's neck. She pressed him for the truth about tricking Su Buxiao down the mountain. Suddenly, Mi Yuchu's expression changed drastically. Could it be that Su Buxiao has already, this sinister and cunning second prince, deliberately sent someone to hold up Mi Yuchu, all to ambush the defenseless Su Buxiao down the mountain? The second prince couldn't help but laugh mockingly. Su Buxiao is simple-minded. With just a little trick, he rushed back to his death. He can't compare to this prince at all, who has deep feelings for Miss Me knowing the danger. He still came to pick up Miss Me learning that Su Buxiao was in danger. Mi Yuchu turned and left. This woman is really interesting. She knows it's dangerous, but still goes down the mountain. Seeing Mi Yuchu leave, the man at the side hurriedly tried to stop her. But the second prince said it was no big deal. Anyway, Mi Yuchu would be his sooner or later. He was not like his emperor father, a romantic who didn't love his country. He wanted both the country and the beauty. On the other side, Mi Yuchu rushed to Qinghai County at top speed. After many twists and turns, Mi Yuchu finally understood why she had a special impression of Qinghai County. In her previous life, Qinghai County was massacred due to a plague. If that weakling Su Buxiao encountered the army, he would definitely die instantly. To this, Mi Yuchu sighed with emotion. She never thought she would start to feel anxious for her enemy from her past life. Suddenly, Mi Yuchu's eyes changed. A fleet of hot air balloons floated in the air, making Mi Yuchu stop and watch. On the hot air balloon, the magistrate was looking down at the forest with a telescope. It turned out that Su Buxiao had already informed the magistrate of the news of the army's massacre. It was a pity that Mi Yuchu was not in the city at this time. Otherwise, with her combat power, she could at least resist for a while. Now, being in midair, even if they found Mi Yuchu's whereabouts, there was no way to jump down and make contact. But the next moment, the Mi Yuchu the magistrate had been thinking about suddenly appeared on the hot air balloon. My goodness, how did this big sister get up here? Seeing Mi Yuchu finally return, the magistrate couldn't help but shed tears of excitement. Just half an hour ago, the magistrate had learned from Su Buxiao about the army's massacre. Su Buxiao acted urgently, sending the citizens and the magistrate up in hot air balloons. But he himself did not escape with them. Instead, he chose to stay behind and share the hardships with the remaining citizens. If it weren't for the system's rules, prohibiting the creation of large-scale weapons of mass destruction, he, Su Buxiao, would definitely not have suffered this humiliation. And when he came down the mountain, he had personally seen the army gathering outside Qinghai County. If the massacre was real, even if the plague was cured, this city would still be finished. Therefore, Su Buxiao chose to be a benefactor to the end. Not only did he teach the fleeing people how to control the hot air balloons, he also gave the telescope to the magistrate to observe the enemy. Su Buxiao stayed in the city, guarding it with the members of the beggar gang and the young and strong men of the city. As the hot air balloon took off, the magistrate suddenly called out to Su Buxiao, asking if he had a countermeasure. Hearing this, Su Buxiao pondered for a moment. He opened his fan, revealing an extremely wicked smile. After hearing the account, Mi Yuchu was slightly shocked. She never thought that guy would come up with a solution so quickly. Despite this, the magistrate was still very worried. The next moment, Mi Yuchu let go of her hands. Under the magistrate's shocked gaze, she leaped straight from the high altitude into the forest. On the other side, a group of men in women's clothing gathered in the city. Is this the brilliant plan you were talking about? To this, Su Buxiao was calm. Even if we tell the army that the plague has been cured, they will definitely not believe it. Therefore, Su Buxiao decided to make the army leader drink the goo water. This way, they would not be able to kill each other. But what does this have to do with us dressing in women's clothing? Just then, a fast horse galloped over. By imperial decree, Qinghai County has been poorly managed, repeatedly causing the local population to suffer from a terrible disease. To prevent the people from suffering any longer, His Majesty has decided to kill all the citizens, giving the residents of the city a swift release. Hearing this, Su Buxiao showed a cold smile. He slowly pushed open the main gate. Didn't you want to know why we had to become men in women's clothing? These soldiers have traveled in a hurry. In that case, we will use the temptation of beauties to awaken the fire within that leader, making them parched. When they let down their guard, they will drink the well water at the city gate, which contains the child goo. Once the army is infected with the goo poison, this massacre will surely be stopped. This was Su Buxiao's surefire plan. But unexpectedly, the army leader announcing the imperial decree as soon as he saw the men in women's clothing, vomited with a wah. This reaction was completely different from the plan. Su Buxiao was speechless. Even if they don't become thirsty, making the soldiers vomit until they are dehydrated, and then drink the goo water is also a good plan. Am I really a genius? The next second, the leading soldier actually started chugging water from the well. In just an instant, the goo water had taken effect. The leading general instantly turned into Marshal Tianpeng. Seeing this, Su Buxiao raised his hand sarcastically. Commander, you've been infected with the plague now. If you're not cured in 3 days, you will die. I am Su Buxiao, the emperor's legitimate son. As long as you are willing to make peace, I will definitely cure your illness. Seeing that it was His Highness the Prince, the army commander was stunned. Suddenly, his expression became extremely strange. A soldier drew his sword and directly stabbed the commander. When the Son of Heaven falls ill, he is treated the same as a commoner. Since you have the plague, then sacrifice yourself to protect the country. The unlucky army commander instantly died. A Biao behind him suddenly sneered. Thank you, Your Highness the Prince, for giving me a good reason to kill the commander. As for Your Highness the Prince, even if you die, no one will know you were in this place. The next moment, the soldiers raised their swords and charged at Su Buxiao. Helpless, Miyu Mao also had a draw his sword to meet the enemy. Even Su Buxiao didn't expect these guys to start fighting at the drop of a hat. On the other side, the magistrate on the hot air balloon also observed the chaos in the city. At this time, Su Buxiao also picked up a machete. He faced the new soldiers, trembling, but because he didn't dare to kill, he could only seek help from the system. But earlier, Su Buxiao had already used up his chance for outside help. Therefore, Su Buxiao couldn't get help from the system. The next moment, a soldier holding a sharp knife rushed over. At this moment, Su Buxiao was panicking. A flash of a blade suddenly struck, stopping the soldier in front of him. Miyu Mao stepped forward to protect Su Buxiao. Swords have no eyes. At this time, they must be extremely careful. Large beads of sweat covered Su Buxiao's forehead. He looked at the soldier's body in front of him and subconsciously took a step back, his face filled with sorrow and fear. Suddenly, a spray of fresh blood splattered onto Su Buxiao's cheek. Su Buxiao was slightly stunned. He turned his head to look in the direction where the blood had splattered. In an instant, Guy Lauer's head was lying alone on the ground. Su Buxiao broke out in a cold sweat. He looked left and right across the battlefield. The bodies of Xiao Wu and Xiao Lu were also gradually turning into ice particles. Is this the cruelty of war? Su Buxiao's mind completely collapsed. He fell to the ground and began to vomit uncontrollably. How did things turn out like this? The brothers who were just laughing and joking a moment ago had turned into cold corpses in an instant. All along, Su Buxiao had only treated this world as a game instance, one he could handle easily just by using his brain. But now, the bone-deep slaughter had made him completely lose his ability to cope. At this rate, he would really die. Looking back, Su Buxiao suddenly froze in place. To protect Su Buxiao, Miyu Mao had used his own body to block a sword for him, then lost consciousness and slid to the ground. Su Buxiao's eyes widened. At this moment, it was unknown if Miyu Mao was alive or dead. The soldier behind him, seeing the fallen Miyu Mao, stabbed him again with a spear. Su Buxiao wanted to rise and fight back, but his body wouldn't obey. In his breakdown, Su Buxiao let out a roar of pain. The soldier was startled by Su Buxiao's shout. Su Buxiao, disregarding his own life, threw himself onto Miyu Mao, wanting to shield him from the soldier's attacks. Unexpectedly, the rumored debauched prince was so loyal. The next moment, the soldier revealed a cruel smile and thrust his spear heavily into Su Buxiao's body. Then his palm, then his thigh. In just a short moment, Su Buxiao was covered in wounds. He lay on the ground, dying. Although he had no strength to fight back, all he could do now was to block a few more blows for the big brother beneath him. Su Buxiao reached out, wanted to touch his former brother's cheek. Why was he so useless? He couldn't even protect his own brother. The next moment, a system warning appeared before Su Buxiao's eyes. Warning, current sense of belonging is too low. System program is about to collapse. Su Buxiao's body began to transform. The soldier beside them showed no mercy in his eyes. He raised his sword to kill Su Buxiao. Just then, Miyuchu finally appeared. With a flying kick, she sent the soldier flying 100,000 miles away. At this moment, Su Buxiao was crying his eyes out. He stared blankly at Miyuchu's figure, as if seeing a glimmer of hope for life. Seeing the devastation before her, Miyuchu's expression changed drastically. Su Buxiao, with tears streaming down his face, said, "Miyuchu, your big brother. He's not going to make it." But Miyuchu wasn't worried about her brother's injuries. After all, as a martial artist, her big brother was strong and healthy. On the contrary, this weakling Su Buxiao was the one who was truly about to die. Then, Miyuchu threw all the medicinal herbs to Su Buxiao, preparing to deal with the enemy army alone. Suddenly, Miyuchu stopped in her tracks. Just now, she had heard everything Su Buxiao said on the brink of death. This guy was cowardly, timid, weak, and useless. He would even hesitate in the face of the enemy. Each of these flaws was extremely fatal. But it was Su Buxiao who helped Xiang County treat the plague. It was also Su Buxiao who helped the women and children escape. At the moment of life and death, Su Buxiao did not flee. He even risked his life to protect the heavily injured Miyumao. In Miyuchu's eyes, Su Buxiao was definitely not a useless person. Hearing this, the utterly despondent Su Buxiao's eyes instantly widened. "Don't look at me with that ugly expression. I still think your usual arrogant and spirited pretty boy face suits you better." Just as the two were gazing deeply at each other, a soldier's taunt came from behind. Immediately after, Miyuchu backhanded the soldier in the face with a punch. The group of soldiers was instantly sent flying in all directions. As expected, villains die from talking too much. In the sky, the county magistrate, watching Miyuchu's terrifying combat power through a telescope, couldn't help but feel his hair stand on end. Suddenly, a soldier tremblingly uttered a threat. "Wait until I kill you first, then drain your blood, and finally, I'll execute you on the spot." Miyuchu was quite speechless at this. It turned out that on the city wall, a team of formidable archers was hidden. This showed the emperor's determination to massacre the city. But Miyuchu didn't pay them any mind. Suddenly, a severe headache struck. Miyuchu collapsed into Su Buxiao's arms without warning. Damn it, why did the headache have to act up at this very moment? On the city wall, the archers were ready to fire. Seeing this, the magistrate in the sky couldn't help but burn with anxiety. At this moment, Miyuchu had lost her ability to fight. If there was no other way, they could only wait for death. The next moment, Su Buxiao held Miyuchu tightly, using his body to shield her from the arrows. At this point, he could only believe in his protagonist's plot armor. As expected of a protagonist, the overwhelming rain of arrows perfectly missed, and Su Buxiao landed on the ground in a twisted heap. Heavens, do I really have protagonist plot armor? Before he could finish his sentence, an arrow landed squarely on Su Buxiao's butt, feeling the warmth in Su Buxiao's arms. Miyuchu's headache gradually subsided, but it felt so familiar. "You brat, what's your relationship with the doctor who treated my headache before?" Hearing this, Su Buxiao could only play dumb. Miyuchu slowly closed her eyes. Immediately after, she erupted with a terrifying killing intent. She was seen carrying Su Buxiao in a princess hold. "Hey sister, if you carry me like this, don't I have any face to lose?" A nearby soldier quickly ordered another attack. Seeing this, Miyuchu let out a cold laugh. She gathered her strength on the spot, and holding Su Buxiao, she shot up into the sky. The next moment, the city wall instantly crumbled. Miyuchu, with just one kick, shattered the sturdy city gate. Holy crap, is this Miyuchu's true strength? How on earth have I survived until now? With a loud bang, the city wall instantly collapsed. The magistrate in the air, seeing this, crushed the telescope in his hand in shock. This is too damn terrifying. Although the army failed to massacre the city, with that one kick, the unlucky Qinghai County was still reduced to ashes. The unconscious Su Buxiao slowly opened his eyes. The trauma he suffered on the battlefield made him scream subconsciously, but he was surprised to find that his wounds had already been properly bandaged, and the surroundings were very unfamiliar. Yesterday, he was hit on the head by the rubble kicked up by Miyuchu and passed out directly. Recalling his series of encounters, Su Buxiao couldn't help but feel deeply ashamed. He was now recuperating in a farmer's house. Not only were his wounds bandaged, but someone had also thoughtfully changed his clothes. Could it be that Miyuchu changed them for me herself? At this thought, Su Buxiao felt a wave of shyness. Stop dreaming. I changed your clothes. Miyu Mao suddenly spoke from the side. Seeing his big brother safe and sound, Su Buxiao was slightly taken aback. The young and able-bodied men of the village and Mi Youmao's brothers had all died on the battlefield yesterday. Su Buxiao wanted to offer some comfort, but Miyu Mao slowly closed his eyes. As a general, he was already accustomed to death. These brothers all sacrificed themselves to protect the common people. True men, he would only feel proud of them. But their revenge, Miyu Mao swore, he would make that despicable group pay one by one. Seeing Miyu Mao's murderous gaze, Su Buxiao felt a chill run down his spine. Suddenly, Su Buxiao remembered Mi Youchu's whereabouts. Where did that woman go? Don't tell me she was sold by this farming family. He then suffered the consequences of his loose tongue. It turned out Mi Youchu took pity on their small group of weak, sick, and disabled, and had specially cooked porridge for them. However, since it was her first time making porridge, its appearance was truly a bit of a dark cuisine. Big brother, why aren't you eating? Mi Youchu looked at Miyu Mao with anticipation. To save his own life, Miyu Mao could only find a random excuse to decline. Just then, Miyu Mao suddenly remembered that Xiao Chu had said she had something important to tell them when Su Buxiao woke up. Hearing this, Su Buxiao had a questioning look on his face. Seeing this, Mi Youchu didn't keep them in suspense. The Mute Man and Gai Gai Gang's group was actually the low-profile second prince. Before, Mi Youchu was still wondering. Since it was the emperor who ordered the capture of the women, why would the cave full of blood-sucking vines also be the place where the assassins store blood? And this time with the city massacre, the soldiers also claimed they wanted to capture women alive. The connection between these events, she only understood after talking with the second prince. The second prince had personally admitted that the infatuated man who admired the red-clothed female ghost and married her was none other than the current son of heaven, his majesty. In that case, the assassin and the red-clothed female ghost having the same tattoo now had a common explanation. That assassin had been working for the emperor all along. Facing the place where his beloved was brutally murdered, the emperor was full of malice towards Qinghai County. It's just that Mi Youchu still couldn't figure out what the assassin was using those blood-storing vines for. The truth behind it was definitely not just that the assassin used human blood for painting. There are so many young women in the world, so why repeatedly send assassins to collect Mi Youchu's blood? Hearing this, Miyu Mao was furious. It's that damned emperor again. Seeing her brother's emotional state, Mi Youchu quickly went to show her concern. At this, Miyu Mao suddenly fell silent. For now, recuperating was the priority. Other matters could be discussed after returning home. The porridge is getting cold. Big brother, drink it while it's hot. Miyu Mao's eyes instantly went blank. Su Buxiao, on the side, mustered his courage, picked up the porridge and started drinking it in big gulps. This porridge is so delicious. Really? Mi Youchu looked incredulous. Really, it's just that my tongue gets a little numb towards the end. It's like I can't feel anything while drinking it. Seeing Su Buxiao spit out blood, Mi Youchu snatched the bowl away. It seems she really wasn't suited for cooking. Saying this, she was about to leave the room. Su Buxiao suddenly spoke up and stopped her. Actually, this prince knows how to make porridge. Do you want this highness to teach you? As soon as he finished speaking, Mi Youchu turned and left. Su Buxiao fell into deep thought. Miyu Mao, at his side, felt that Su Buxiao's attitude just now was very problematic. You brat, you call my sister's name the moment you woke up. After a few sentences, you still can't stop looking for her. You even drank the porridge to curry favor. The moment she leaves, you look all dejected. At this, Su Buxiao shook his head, explaining that he was just inexplicably anxious after waking up. After all, it was Mi Youchu who saved him. Only when thinking of her would he feel a little at ease, although it was also accompanied by a slightly faster heartbeat and a sense of happy excitement. Speaking of this, Su Buxiao suddenly froze. Something's not right. Could it be that he really fell for her? Miyu Mao sighed, slowly from the side. Su Buxiao broke out in a cold sweat. I must have post-war PTSD. As soon as I'm away from a strong person, my heart palpitates unbearably. Nonsense. You brat have definitely fallen for her. Hearing this, Su Buxiao was so shocked he became a blur. What's with that expression? It's even more terrifying than having some PTSD. At this moment, Su Buxiao could only desperately control himself from thinking in that direction. How could he possibly like that kind of violent woman? Su Buxiao recalled past events one by one. This kind of violent woman is simply so cool and impressive. When she's not talking, she has a kind of cold and cute vibe. Just thinking about her makes this prince's little heart pound uncontrollably. At this moment, Su Buxiao realized the situation was not right. Oh my god, could it be that this prince has really fallen for Miyuchu? At this thought, Su Buxiao's face suddenly turned red enough to bubble. In front of the general's mansion, Su Buxiao, who had been blushing and feverish, was carried into a sedan chair by two servants. This guy, why has he been running a fever ever since he came back from the farmer's house? He's just being feverish with passion. It'll be fine after a while. Although Su Buxiao's high fever didn't subside, Miyu Mao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, seeing Su Buxiao safely escorted home. The next moment, Miyu Mao said he was going home, but turned and left in the opposite direction of the general's mansion. Seeing his plan exposed, Miyu Mao felt awkward. He had been away from home without permission for so many years. For a moment, he wasn't prepared to face his father and wife. Hearing this, Miyuchu was slightly taken aback. She sighed helplessly, since her big brother didn't dare to face them. To prevent Miyu Mao from disappearing again, Miyuchu directly tied him up in her bedroom. It just so happened that she also had matters to discuss with her big brother. And what Miyuchu wanted to discuss was no trivial matter. The moment she opened her mouth, she wanted to bring her big brother along with her to rebel. Hearing this, Miyu Mao was utterly shocked. But Miyuchu said bluntly, "Big brother, you've been away from home for so many years precisely because you didn't want to implicate the family. But even if we don't stir up trouble, trouble will find its way to us." Before heading to Qinghai County, Miyuchu had already been the target of several assassination attempts. At first, she thought it was the emperor who didn't want the Mi family's military power to become a subsidiary force of other families, which was why he repeatedly sent people to assassinate her. But after the incident in Qinghai County, Miyuchu discovered that things were definitely not that simple. Hearing this, Miyu Mao felt a wave of self-blame. "It's all my fault for not being able to protect you." To this, Miyuchu surprisingly admitted it frankly. "Every time there was danger, you weren't around. What's the use of having you?" Hearing this, Miyu Mao was incredibly depressed. But this time, Miyuchu decided to actively seek her big brother's protection and wanted to be able to help him as well. Miyuchu really wanted to know, after her big brother had been wandering outside for so many years, what exactly happened back then? Hearing this, Miyu Mao sighed. Back then, he and his Mao Mao army encountered an enemy ambush at the border. They thought the emperor would send reinforcements, but what they got was an assassination squad. So, Miyu Mao made a decision. Under pursuit, he took the lead in escaping. They fled into a dense forest, after which he and his men scattered. Although they successfully escaped, Miyu Mao had been unwilling to let it go for so many years. He wanted to find the real culprit who plotted against them back then. So he mingled in various places to gather information. Finally, he found out that the squad belonged to the crown prince, and the so-called crown prince was merely a puppet under the current emperor. He didn't know for what purpose the emperor wanted them dead. In addition, he personally witnessed the people being displaced and the old, weak, sick, and disabled being forcibly conscripted. That's why he went into exile, recruiting talented individuals to avenge the people and his brothers in the Mao Mao army without implicating his family. Hearing this, Miyuchu looked helpless. The Mi family was already a thorn in the emperor's